Friends, happy Thursday. I'm so happy to see your smiling faces, whether you're joining us live today or you're watching the replay. We are so happy you're here. I am Phil, joined by my client and my dear friend, Alan Friedman. Welcome to San Francisco. Welcome to Adobe. How are you feeling this morning?
Feeling great. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited. I've got to tell you, I have been dreaming about today. Friends, by the way, in the chat, let us know if you're here. Today is so special to me because so many of my worlds combine. Okay, so we've worked together for years in a client capacity. I would say we're friends now.
Yeah,
I would say so.
That's
on the best days.
On the best days, yes.
And so what's so cool about this is we've spent years working together building your brand. Of course, we've used Adobe tools to make that happen. And now we're actually at Adobe where I get to showcase your personal brand, your company brand, your work, and we're gonna talk in the process about using Adobe Express to bring all this magic to life. Does that sound good to you?
Sounds great.
Beautiful. So I'm gonna hop over to my screen where we're starting on the dashboard. And actually what I wanna do, I wanna give people, check it out. Actually, what we should also tell people, Alan, you have never used Adobe Express before.
That is a correct statement.
That is a correct statement, but you're up for a challenge today. You're up for learning, yes?
I'm always up for learning.
I love it. So before we jump into Express, I want people to get a flavor of who you are and what you do professionally. So on the screen, I'm showing your personal brand website. We can see a handful of your clients. Why don't you tell people just a little bit about your work and your day-to-day?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me. My day-to-day work is I'm the CEO of J3P Health, which is a boutique consulting organization that focuses on organizational outcomes specifically and only within healthcare and primarily with surgeons and high-level nursing leaders. So what we do is we focus on building individual capacity in the service of what the organizational needs are. So it involves coaching, it involves strategic planning, it involves implementing the correct organizational structure to support an organization or a department's strategic plan while focusing on the individual needs. So we're a coach to the individual, but also a coach to the organizational needs, and we integrate the two.
I wanted to show on screen just a handful of your projects and clients. It is such an impressive list. Hospitals, esteemed healthcare organizations. I mean, the top of the top, Alan has worked with them. It's just so exciting because, here at Adobe Live, we talk a lot about creativity. We've got a lot of creative pros in our audience. I'm really excited for everyone today to not only learn about some of the new features in Express, how small businesses can be using this amazing platform, but also learn from you about leadership, self-awareness. I always say, like working as a brand strategist, I get a front row seat to some of the most fascinating people. We're showing on screen your visual brand that we created, obviously using tools like Illustrator, Premiere for video, Photoshop. We'll be touching a few of those today. InDesign we'll work from today. So it's just so exciting because we're gonna bring you, friends, into the fold on Adobe Express for business. That could be small business, that could be enterprise. Can you talk a little bit about the type of clients that you work with and what they kind of have you on speed dial for day to day?
Yeah, so our clients are predominantly surgical departments at who's who of academic institutions, primarily in the United States. We also have clients that are membership-based organizations, such as the American Shoulder and Elbow Surgeons, the American Organization for Foot and Ankle Surgeons, the American Organization for Nursing Leaders. So we have a sweet spot in terms of membership-based organizations bringing us in to help them build out their leadership capacity for their own organizational needs, but also to help bring those skills back to the organizations that they work in. And then the final area where we work in is when an individual reaches out and says, I need some help individually to help with my development needs. And so those are kind of the three specific areas that we work with.
Beautiful. Yeah. Very professional. A totally different world. I love it. And friends, you're going to learn so much today about leadership, about just some of the things that I've learned over the years from Alan is incredible. I want to say hi to our friends in the chat. We have Cody Bear, as we always do. Hi, Cody Bear. Lucas, who, by the way, is over in the other room. He is going to be joining for the second hour today. Thank you so much. And we also have Robert. Hey, Robert. Hey, Yasina. I'm so happy all of you guys are here. You really picked a great day to tune in for as long as you can today. On the screen, or I should say in behind us on the green screen, I'm showing you, you saw a second ago, we previewed Alan's personal brand. Now you're getting a look at his company brand. So actually, Alan hired me first to do your personal brand, things like speaking engagements, right? Just building, obviously the importance of having a personal brand, in relation to promoting a company. But then, Alan, you said, guys, that was kind of fun. Can we now work on the company brand? So J3P Health, would you explain the type of work you're doing day to day? As a brand strategist, and this will come as no surprise to friends that have seen some of my streams before, when I'm creating a brand, either for a person or for a company, we're creating a logo system. We're deciding on a color hierarchy. So we're trying to create a nice range of options for our client to basically have a toolkit, okay, to be able to use these colors and brand elements. We would put it together in what we would call a brand board, a brand PDF, just like this. And this is, as you know, because you hired me for it, this is what I would deliver a client. So start to visualize how things could look on the web. Start to explore, hey, Alan, here's how a stock photo could look if we need to source something for your blog, etc. We're kind of painting the picture, friends, for what we're going to jump into today, and we're going to do this entirely in Adobe Express. So going back to Express, Alan already admitted he has never used Adobe Express before. That is by design. I said, Alan, sign up for an account, but don't actually learn anything yet, because you're going to learn today with me and with Lucas. And we have coming up in a few hours, you're going to actually create some content yourself. I had a question for you to start. There we go. There's our little schedule. So starting with build a brand using simple tools. How would you, since you've gone through the branding process, how would you define what is a brand? Like, what is a brand to you? There's no right answer.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And we speak about this in our work as organizational psychologists. And so for me, when I think of branding, it's what do people think and say about you when you're not there to represent yourself? And that is true in relationships, but it's also true from a marketing and a reputational perspective on behalf of an organization or a person.
Yeah.
So there's identity in the work that we think of, which is what people think of themselves, and then there's reputation. I think branding is the reputation correlate to kind of the work that we do. So if an individual is thinking about what are people saying about me when I'm not in the room, the branding function on behalf of an organization or a person does the same thing through media and collateral and all the great content that you've created, which now I'm seeing I can do myself. So Phil, I don't think you have a job anymore.
Honey, I'm out of a job. And no, but actually, I mean, we're joking. And by the way, I'm laughing because my sweet friend, Nikki McWilliams, who's in the chat, and a dear Express ambassador, is saying, you guys are very on brand today with your outfits. Look, I'm your lighter brown tones, even the darker brown that we have in your color.
Oh, yeah.
And you are the perfect shade of blue. God, it's as if we were coordinated. We weren't actually, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm laughing, but there's actually something serious to what you said. We've arrived at a point in time where, doing this for 14 years, and you and I have worked together for several years, it's always been a challenge for me when a client hires me, invests a lot of money, but also time to say, help us create a visual identity. And then I hand it over in a PDF and a folder with files. Yeah. And I basically have said for years, here you go, good luck. When you do something wrong, I'm the branding police and I'll, chime in and say, that's wrong. But I've never really had the ability until Adobe Express has come along to basically say, Alan, here's your brand that we've created together. Now you have the tools and the framework to bring this stuff to life yourself. So when we talk about Adobe Express in the context of business, what we're doing as creative pros, which I know many of you joining or watching the replay are today, we are setting ourselves up for success. We're setting our clients up for success to be able to hand off a creative entity. It could be a brand, it could be an illustration that inspires a brand. We get to hand this off to our clients, and now for the first time, they can actually create within the confines of the brand. I sometimes use the analogy, you can create within the sandbox that we've drawn the border of to say, hey, this is what your brand is. Now you bring it to life. So we're going to talk about things like brand kits. So one of the first things that I think we actually will jump into right now, I have it up on screen. Alan, when you open Adobe Express, and this goes for everyone, by the way, who's joining us, who just said, Ryan Selvey has the nerve to say, Phil, new haircut? Yes, honey, I got it cut yesterday because I knew you'd be seeing me and hanging out with us. Vandal is here. Lucas is here. Nikki, we got the whole crew. Bree, hello, good morning. When we talk about Adobe Express in the context of business, I sometimes say the features that are there and maybe less splashy are some of the most important for business. And the first one would be brands. So check this out, Alan. I mean, I'm so excited to show you this. I wanted to show you this for ages. We just waited until we were on camera to do it. This little tab right here, when you click brands, it took me all of 5 minutes to get this set up for you. We have all of these brand assets that you've hired my team and agency to create over the years and make updates to. We've got your logos, not just one logo, but multiple variations, color combinations, depending on how we're gonna use them. So you can see here, we've got your logos that are centered. We've got left justified, which would work great for an email signature. We've got the stamp. I love this for, where did we use this? We use this on the footer on your website for some stationery. And then we've got the mark alone, which we're actually bringing back and using for a membership project, which we'll talk a little bit about later on. We've also, friends, got colors. By setting up your colors in Adobe Express, it means that they're going to be one click away to be able to apply to a template or a new project that you're starting. All you need to do is input the hex code. So we would just, I've got this all set up, but if I was to click edit, I can go ahead and add some colors. When we are designing a color palette for a brand, my general rule of thumb, I'm laughing, Emily says, Phil, that fresh haircut. You guys are too kind to me. When we're designing a palette for a brand, the general rule of thumb that I often, it's a rule that I set and then I go and break it. We want a white, a light, an accent color, a dark, and a black. So once again, a white, a light. So the white, again, I kind of broke the rule here, but the white would probably be this light gray. The light color might be this kind of sandy tone. The orange, I think, is definitely the pop, the bold color, the accent color we would call it. And then we've got a dark and a black. So not exactly to this theory, but if you guys are trying to decide on a color palette for your brand, that's generally what I do. A white, a light, an accent color, a dark, and a black. And sometimes I have 6 colors, and sometimes I have 4 colors, and it just kind of depends, but that's the loose methodology that I follow for that. Also in Express, we can set up your fonts. When we're building a brand, we typically choose a header and a body font. Rarely, but sometimes they're the same font. Actually, for my personal brand, they're the same font, Gil Sans. But for your brand, your personal brand, Alan, we did this italicized and then the non-italicized right there. Those are your headers. And then your body font is Gibson Light. And then we also use Gibson Semi-Bold for some extra emphasis when we need it. In terms of branding, templates could house your brand guidelines as they do here for you. So we created, let's actually click, I've got this saved as a remixable template, Alan. So this means that anyone on your team that's going to use or touch your brand can simply click this, start a new file, and it's going to bring your brand guidelines that my team has created into their Express account. to basically know, okay, here are the rules to stay on brand for Alan. Okay, so in Express, we're going to play around with this today. We can also create presentations. So, I mean, do you like PowerPoint? Does anyone like PowerPoint?
Not really.
Good answer. I much prefer creating presentations in Express. And this is an example of how we've actually gone full screen here. We can add animations. Express is kind of like your one-stop shop to basically create anything. Social media content, brand guidelines, presentations, brochures, postcards. We're going to explore all of that today in the next few hours. I always love doing this. We in the creation phase of the brand, we imagine what could be, right? So we may not actually create these right away, although we did create your business cards. But even in that kind of like ideation stage, we'll create a business card mock-up that could inspire a social media post or some kind of layout down the road. We start to explore textures and physical items as kind of abstract, right? But this could inspire an exhibit at an expo or a conference, let's say. Or I know stationery is important to you, right? You came in about 5 minutes before we went live to air. What did you tell me about this notepad?
That it's a high quality pad and it writes so well. And it's important. I'm a little old school in that respect, but yes.
Don't you think, though, that in an age of AI, don't you feel like we care about these things even more now? I do, at least.
Well, I think that it's the attention to details, and we were referencing PowerPoint. No disrespect to PowerPoint, I'm sure it served a lot of people, but I give a lot of talks and I give a lot of presentations, as do a lot of the people on my team. And the things that I struggle with is how do I update the content, update the slides, not necessarily the message that we're sending, but how can we get creative and have it be done efficiently without spending a ton of time? So that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to learning how to do, and then hopefully being able to teach that to my team.
I love it. That's a great point. We're going to explore that today. I asked you the question, what is a brand? And you gave a 100 out of 100 response. I don't know. Someone trained you well. My next question for you is, what does content mean to you? What does content mean to you?
So I think to answer that question, content is the message that I'm trying to get across. And what I would say is communication doesn't always equal comprehension. So if we think about content, content is the container in which the message that I'm trying to deliver to my audience, whether it be on a one-on-one basis to a room full of people through platforms such as Adobe, like we're on now, does what I'm trying to communicate end up resulting in comprehension for the intended recipient. So content is the container in which that is delivered. That is my perspective on that.
Beautiful. As it connects to your brand, something I've always wanted to do with you is kind of push you to also take your amazing brilliance and send it out into the internet like a little soldier.
Yeah.
Because I admit it, I've learned so much from you over the years about leadership, about self-awareness, so many different topics. And I want to build, and we're going to do this today, I want to build a mechanism for you to be able to share these ideas on platforms like LinkedIn, potentially Instagram, an email newsletter. All of these are great options, and we're going to explore them today. Ryan had a really good question that I don't want to miss. Ryan said, do I need brand guidelines even if my brand is small? Such a good question, Ryan. I would say it never hurts to give guidance on how someone should use your brand, whether it's a single slide that says, here's the right way to use it, a second slide that says, here's the wrong way to use it. The majority of my clients are personal brands or small businesses. I've done a little bit with enterprise where we've built out a more detailed brand guidelines doc. But generally what I would deliver to a client looks something like this, which is, it's a scrolling page. Could be a PDF. It says here's the logos, the logo system, so choose the right logo depending on the use. We're looking now at your company brand. Here's a color palette. Here are the different color combinations that you might use. We think about legibility. We can use tools in Adobe Express like the accessibility checker. Let's actually demonstrate that. So let me go ahead and open your brand guidelines doc again. Opening that right now. And let's check your color palette. Let me just hit refresh. Friends, there are some amazing add-ons. This is an area where I send even the most advanced of users. I find that every time I open this tab, I discover something new. Some of my favorite add-ons are really simple. Here's one, contrast checker. So when we look at creating a color palette, it's not just the colors you choose, it's how they pair together. So we've got a dark color here. So let's go back to this home page. Using the contrast checker, which is a free add-on in Express, we can sample the foreground, which would be this kind of sand color. That's what I'm calling it. And we can sample this background color, which is this navy. This is a very good sign. So it's going to show you AA and AAA accessibility, contrast check, the ratio. It's not imperative that you pass every single category. So but actually this is very good. This score is very good. So it'll tell you based on what you've sampled between foreground and background, regular text, large text, graphical objects. This would count as graphical object and large text. It passes. So what does this mean? It doesn't sound that exciting, but when you are served a lawsuit on your website for not being accessible or compliant, that becomes very scary. And so this has been something that we've built into our workflow, Alan, when we're designing a brand, so that the brand that I hand you over as a client is also one that is considered accessible and isn't going to get you in trouble, for example, on your website. How cool that we can actually check that directly in Express. If we think about content, Alan, what are some of the social media platforms that you've considered creating content on? I think you've posted a few times on LinkedIn, but not a ton.
I'm active on LinkedIn. I say active, but for me, I'm active on LinkedIn.
Like you're consuming content on the platform.
I'm consuming content. I'm busy, so I don't spend a lot of time on LinkedIn or other social media platforms. I think that's a function of my time, A, B, my ability to create content efficiently and easily. Yep. And I think third is just my lack of understanding of how to use it, frankly.
Yeah.
So
you're in good hands today, because we're going to start creating content in this hour. You're going to continue on with Lucas in the next. And my goal, friends, is that Alan feels equipped to show up online using a platform like Adobe Express that, as I showed you, we've got him set up not only with a brand. A brand in Adobe Express is specific to Adobe Express. This means that when we are working on a project, when we go to add things like text, let me show you this, okay? We just added a text field by clicking text right there. Right here, give it a second to load. It will actually pre-populate Alan's brand. So whether we're using your personal brand or whether we're working with your company brand, all of this is going to show up right here ready for us to choose from. Serve it up first so that we know exactly what we need to do to stay on brand. Same thing with color, okay? So see right there, as I click to sample this color, it's got your personal brand right there, Alan Friedman palette. Now, a question that we get a lot is what's the difference, Phil, between a brand, a library, and a project? And it can be a little confusing because you've basically got a variety of ways of organizing your content in Express. So we're going to click from the homepage, we're going to click Your Stuff. Try to talk there as I do this and not do it too quickly. I've created a project for Alan. What's different about a project and a brand is that a project can actually house multiple brands and libraries. Phil, what is a library? Well, if you're a creative pro, you're probably already familiar with libraries if you're using them in Photoshop, Illustrator, etc. libraries span Creative Cloud apps. So we use libraries when we're, for example, working on the textures for the Alan Friedman brand, or color samples, or graphical elements that we might use for stationery, let's say, okay? And by using them in a library, we can access those in Photoshop, Illustrator, other tools, as well as Adobe Express. Now, what is a project? A project houses your brands, S, plural, if you have them, your libraries, as well as files. I can create any kind of like organizational hierarchy in here, so I can create folders. The other thing that we're going to be using today is calendars. And Freds, this isn't just a single social calendar that you create for your own social media content. We're talking about Adobe Express today for business. Even for the creative pros that are watching and participating today, there's a good chance you have clients that you're creating content for. If in any way you are helping them create social media content, take advantage of shared social calendars in Express. So when I click here, Alan, it's going to be empty because we've just started it, but you can look up here, and when I click share, you're going to see our 3 adorable little faces. There's me, there's you, and there's Lucas. We all have access to this shared calendar where we can schedule content for your social media platforms. We've connected, I think for today, we've connected your LinkedIn. It's my goal. In this hour, we're actually going to create a LinkedIn post for you. As I kind of finish the little tour of Express for you that'll set the stage, we can actually schedule a day, a week, a month of social media content directly in Adobe Express. So you don't even have to worry about creating this platform, downloading it, hopping over to LinkedIn, uploading it. You're one of the busiest people I know, and so I know for a fact that you don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah.
We can do it all in Adobe Express without even leaving the platform, so I'm very excited to show you that.
Can I ask a quick question?
You're allowed to ask all the questions you want, my friend.
Appreciate that. So years ago, it used to be that you would have to rely upon a separate app to actually do that scheduling.
Yeah.
What you're saying is through Adobe Express, and it's housed in the cloud. So it's like a one-stop shop with all the tools that are necessary, not only if you're a creative professional, but if I'm a CEO and I want to collaborate with my team, all of that can be done within the confines of the container of the application, correct?
Correct. I can tell your wheels are already turning.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kelsey, who works with you, who is now going to have a long list of social media responsibilities. But the answer is yes.
Understood.
So we're looking right now at, let's say, my personal calendar. But again, if we hop over to your stuff, then to projects, I've created a project called Alan Friedman. Here I've got your personal brand. I'm going to add your company brand in the next hour. And so we'll have both brands there, and then we can click your view calendar, where everyone on your team is going to have access to your shared social calendar. If we want to connect any of your other social media platforms, we can. We can connect multiple platforms. So for example, we have 2 LinkedIn pages, your personal brand and your company page. Everything is housed in one place. I think when you're working with Lucas, you'll get a chance to actually take a look at the scheduler, work on writing a caption. We'll talk a little bit about alt text. I want to draw, friends, your attention to this little literally brand new feature, which is analytics. Let's click it. There's a new add-on or integration with Metricool. Shout out to Andy Lamberg, who I found out about this from about 2 days ago in the Facebook group. Super, super cool, because that was like one thing that was missing in Adobe Express for those of us scheduling social media content. Now, not only can we schedule content in the same platform where we're creating it, but now, friends, you have access to analytics powered by Metricool, which arguably is one of the best platforms for social media analytics. So head over to the Facebook page or our Discord. Andy posted a great little tutorial on that. Brand new, so make sure you're taking advantage of this. But I love that your wheels are already turning. You're like, Phil, I could be using this with my team. That is exactly how we want you using Express. So I kind of want to attack today from the standpoint of, you've got an established brand because you hired me and worked with me on this. But what if someone is wanting to take advantage of this platform and they don't have, for example, a logo, or they don't have a visual brand. Do not let that stop you. One of the best areas in Adobe Express, if you are just getting started, and you don't have a little personalized concierge tour with me, although I'm always happy to do it. If you check the Express YouTube channel, there are lots of YouTube videos. As well, Adobe Live's YouTube channel has so many amazing tutorials, like mini courses on how to use Express and other tools. But I always direct people, let's go back to the homepage just to be very clear on this. Click that purple plus sign and then go to Quick Actions right there. This is the gateway into Adobe Express. By using this platform, because it can do a lot of things and that continues to expand, by using Quick Actions, this gives you a flavor of those kinds of tasky type things that you know you need to do, but you might not be sure how to do it. Let me show you a few. Profile picture maker, okay? We'll actually do that one in a second. Remove background, okay? So let's say we've got a JPEG, the background is baked into the image, but you want it to be you want to have transparency for your presentation. We can do that in a single click. How about creating a QR code? This is so simple. Let me enter the short link for today's stream. I shortened it so I'd remember it off by heart. Literally, that's the link to today's episode. I just put in that link and it customizes that QR code, Alan, in 4 steps. So here we've got style. We can just adjust the style. Also the marker borders. So you've got like just enough to customize it, but not too much that you're going to spend all afternoon doing this. Choose from a few colors. I'd probably go with that nice navy blue to match your very dashing blazer. And then your file format. So download as a PNG, JPEG, or SVG, which is an icon file. You'd probably stick with a PNG. Download that. We've now got a QR code that you can print on a business card, that you can throw in your presentation that you're delivering to, what's a keynote that you've delivered recently?
Well, I'm actually giving a talk to the American College of Radiology in a few weeks.
There you go.
Yeah.
So let's say you've got a report or a digital download that you want them to see, or you want them, you've got a call to action. I'd love your feedback from today's presentation. Throw up a QR code. Chances are a lot of people are like, I don't know how to make a QR code. Now you know how to do it in just a few seconds. I said that we'd show the profile picture maker. We're going to do that one in a moment. Let me just show you a few others. Logo maker. So this is what I was thinking in my head that I wanted to show you. So let's say you're not Alan with a really intricately designed brand that an agency like mine has done for you. That should not stop you from creating proof of concept, okay? You could be a recent grad. You could be a high school student. I don't care who you are. Create what we would call proof of concept. Now, with these tools like Adobe Express, you can create, let's say you didn't have a logo. We're going to create one for you in 4 simple steps using the logo maker, which is built into Express as a quick action. So we could enter a slogan if you had a slogan. It's optional, so we can skip it. So next step, choose an icon.
Wow.
What's an icon that represents your work? We could do something literal like healthcare. That was actually already an option. That's interesting. So that's kind of interesting.
Could try self-awareness.
Yeah, let's go a little more abstract. Let me go back. So we could do something literal, but we could also do something like leadership. Let's see, no. Oh, there we go, yep. So that's really cool. I would go with something like even a little flag is interesting. I'd go for just something really simple. Give me another one. What did you say, self-awareness?
Self-awareness, yeah.
Self-awareness. Let's see if it brings us anything. Yeah, it does. That's really cool. So this is, and then we choose a logo to start from, okay? So do any of these appeal to you?
Lotus is interesting.
Lotus, great. We're gonna click customize this. And in just a few seconds, it's gonna create a logo. Now, obviously, friends, this is not a substitute for hiring a graphic designer who does this process over a few months. But again, what I call this is proof of concept. Nothing should stop you from creating the first version of your brand or your logo. You can always make it better as you grow and evolve. But we just have never had these tools to create this first version of the project. And so I get really, really excited about people being able to do this and nothing getting in the way of that, right? That actually looks pretty cool. I still like the one we did for you. I'm partial.
Well, I remember when I first started our business probably 14 years ago,
Yeah.
and how difficult just getting to this was, and the amount of money we spent, and literally in a keystroke, you did what it took months and thousands of dollars 13 or 14 years ago to do. Amazing.
You had said something interesting earlier. You had said, Phil, jokingly, you said, Phil, you're out of a job. Adobe Express is going to show me how to do everything. But you actually make a really interesting point. Even for me, it's so fun to bring you to Adobe because my job and my world has changed so drastically in the last few years with AI, but even just the democratization of design.
Yeah.
It used to be that it was kind of gate kept. And so we'd do everything behind the scenes and we'd hand it to you. But now so much of my work and so much of my focus is on education, and I'm so fulfilled by that. That's why you see my face pop up here often, because I just love teaching people how to do this stuff, and I'm very passionate about showing how to do this. Again, I mean, you guys know I'm like very pro AI. I wrote a book on this topic. You hold it behind me so it doesn't disappear into the background. Very humble, yes. But, give me the full screen. Okay, there we go. I wrote a book on this, and I'm very pro AI, and the book talks a lot about Adobe Express. But AI is not going to replace graphic designers. It's not going to replace creatives. If anything, we as human beings are going to crave more human, okay? And so today, I'm kind of showing you here's how to use Logo Maker to create that first version of your logo. That's not going to replace the brand that we've created together over several months, right? We're showing you different ways of doing things, easier ways, but also how you can benefit from using a tool like this if you've got a built-out brand. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think to your point, as a business owner and as a CEO, how I'm thinking about this, as I think that you're not out of a job. I think the relationship just looks different and it's more efficient. So the things that we may have to be transactional with to go back and forth with you on, we can be more of a partner in that work, because a lot of the time that we may be paying you for is really on having you understand what we're kind of getting at. Whereas this tool can allow us, I think, to be much more efficient and actually pay you for your strategic expertise, not necessarily your tactical expertise, which kind of this can help augment. That's how I'm seeing this.
100%. When I talk about like being fulfilled in the kind of work that I get to do, which I kind of straddle the worlds of content creation and teaching people in tutorials, but also still working with clients. Yeah. You're still a client of mine. We work together on projects. But I feel like I get to be kind of like the conductor of the orchestra instead of having to play every instrument. We can lean on some of these tools. Quick actions are a great example of this. Convert from PDF, generate image, remove or add objects. One of the newer quick actions that I want to show you is Profile Picture Maker. So let's say, for example, we've got your profile photo right here, which is a great photo, and I actually wouldn't change it. But let's say someone was like, well, how do I get the background out of there? Or how do I make this have more contrast for a profile photo on social media? We can upload that. Give it a second to load. It has used this amazing technology to identify you in the foreground, replace the background with a gradient. We've got it set to all backgrounds here, but it could also be a solid color, which I really like, actually. This blue is very nice. I'm not necessarily convinced that we need to change it. If we want to set, by the way, a specific hex code from your brand, we could. We can adjust the shape of it. But again, this is a quick action. This is designed, if you've got on your task list, update my profile photo, chances are you've got a brand photo, something that already exists that you can use and leverage this. If we want to edit it further in Express, we can click Edit More, or we can download it if we're happy with it. That's one more quick action that I wanted to show you, just as a kind of give you the tour, the lay of the land of Express. I have to show you one that is so incredibly exciting that was just, I believe, announced last week at Adobe Max London, which is Clip Maker. Friends in the chat, sorry I've been ignoring you. I've been deep in thought and conversation here with my friend Alan. Have you guys tried Clipmaker yet? I am so excited about this. Yasina says, thank you for saying that. Trying to tell people, even with AI, we will still need actual people doing the work. Amen, honey. Jeff says, I like the website feature. Has anyone used it there on the main site? Jeff says, oh, that's helpful. I struggle with colors. Great. Just catching up on the chat here. Friends, Clipmaker, if you have long form content, okay, and I'll actually just pull up an example to get ready for today. I downloaded a video of Alan. Okay, this is something that we filmed several months ago. You won't be able to hear it, so you need to trust me that he's giving us some ideas and thought leadership on self-awareness. What we can do is use Clipmaker, there it is, right there, to upload that long form piece of content, which at the time that we're recording this needs to be in English and it must include speech, obviously. We will drag this here. If you want to add captions to the clip that we're going to create, we would slide that on and then we click generate clips. It does take a few minutes. So much like a cooking show, we've got things half baked. I had this uploaded last night. When it's ready, after it works together for a few minutes, it should show you in the notifications. Let me find it. I think it should be in my recent files. If not, we will upload it again. Yep, I think I have to upload it again. So much for half baking it, Alan. Let's go to Clipmaker. And even if we don't finish it in this hour, I'm gonna at least show you guys how we get it going. So once again, there's the video file. This is a roughly 3-minute clip. I think, let's say it's 10 minutes, that's gonna work great. We're gonna upload that. I'm gonna slide add captions, and we're gonna click generate clips. What this is gonna do, maybe you've used other tools, there are lots out there, but how nice that this new feature is built into Express, where a good chance that's the place you're already creating your content. It's working very quickly here. I was worried, I thought it would take too long, but we're moving quickly. Give it a second to upload. You'll then get a little reminder here, which you'll see in a second, that it is going to say, check back here in a few minutes, because it's actually going to digest that long form video clip and then create little like viral moments from that video. So you don't need to hire a video editor. You still can, depending on what you're doing. But let's say you want to throw up a video quickly on LinkedIn. This is an amazing way to take something that you've already created. Here we go. That's what I mentioned here. We can close the Clipmaker. So it's gonna take a few minutes to analyze that. We'll come back to that in a second. Whole point here, friends, for creating content for small business, you wanna follow the path of lesser resistance. So if I say to Alan today, you know, Alan, I really want you to show up. You have such amazing ideas. I want you to show up more on LinkedIn. Your immediate response to that is going to be, gosh, that's like one more thing on my to-do list, right?
I've said that to you.
You have said that to me multiple times. And I said, wait until I bring you to San Francisco and we're going to do it live together. I want you to think about this. What is the path of lesser resistance that I can follow to show up online? From a branding standpoint, independent of AI, I've been saying this for years, content is what you say. Personality is the unique way that you and only you deliver that information. I would urge you to remember that you've probably created a ton of content before this moment. I'm talking videos. I'm talking blog posts. I'm talking scratch notes in your Apple iPhone notes. I'm talking transcripts with your clients. These are examples, quotes, ideas that can be repurposed for social media content. Adobe Express is the perfect place to take a lot of this existing content. We want to follow the path of lesser resistance. So today, we are only creating content, Alan, for your LinkedIn that's being repurposed from something that already exists. Okay, does that make sense?
100%.
So small businesses, pay attention to this. Start from your content. It's that first little square that you'll see from the dashboard in Express. This is one of the most powerful features that exists because it means that you can bring in something that already exists, a PDF, an InDesign file, a PowerPoint file. Check this out. This is a template, Alan, that we had created for you years ago, specifically for PowerPoint. Until now, I'm going to convince you to use Adobe Express presentations instead of PowerPoint. I'm going to make a case for it. We'll let this upload. It will give you a little note, import fidelity. So things like audio, video, animations, those might not carry over from PowerPoint where those are proprietary. But in my experience, I mean, Adobe invented the PDF. Express does an amazing job of getting at least 90% of it, don't quote me, but a good percentage of it really, really accurate. And what this, check this out. So we just imported your PowerPoint file. It wasn't even a PDF. And we are now working from something that already exists.
Wow.
How cool is that?
Wow.
So let's do a little exercise in the minutes that we have. We have about 10 minutes left. I want in the next 10 minutes to create your first LinkedIn post. Are you up for the challenge?
Bring it.
Okay. By the way, I don't want to forget. Up in the corner, see the little red notification? It took just a few minutes and our clips are ready. So I'm going to derail us slightly, but I'm going to try to stay on track here. It is finalizing your viral clips from a 3-minute long form video.
Wow.
How cool is this? It has processed that video. It has found what it's labeling as the top clip, which is 31 seconds long, understanding self-awareness. Alan, it has already cropped it, so that's one less thing that you need to worry about. And then since we toggled captions on, it's gone ahead and added captions, and we can obviously adjust the style here depending on what makes sense for your brand. Of course, I jokingly call myself the branding police, so I'm going to slide this option over to customize colors. And then again here, we would just copy over your hex code for your brand.
Wow.
And that's going to allow us to keep this looking and feeling on brand. I love that you're taking notes. You're like, we need to do this. We need to use this. So first clip is understanding self-awareness. It found triggers of self-awareness, 30-second clip. And then this 22-second, it found 3 clips from a 3-minute video. So you now have, Alan, 3 pieces of unique content that you can post on LinkedIn. By the way, friends, don't sleep on LinkedIn for video. I saw a post from a friend recently, and she said she's posting exclusively video on LinkedIn. And it's so cool, right? Because you think LinkedIn's always like a little bit behind Instagram and other platforms, and so we're like on Instagram we're very used to Reels.
I'm reacting to what Ryan.
What is Ryan? He's a troublemaker. What does he say?
I have no self-awareness.
Yeah, he would say that. He would say that. Don't sleep on LinkedIn video. And now using the new clip maker, quick action. Friends, I urge you, follow the path of lesser resistance and take existing content that you've already created and repurpose this for social media. So here's another thing that we can do. So I'm going to vote that one up. And then I'm going to click download, or I can open this in the editor. So Alan, let's say we want to make a few little trims or adjustments, changes. It's now taken those 3 clips and put them directly into Adobe Express, where we can click Edit Timeline. We can add things like animation. So we can fade this in if we want that effect. We can make any kind of adjustment that we want. This is an individual layer that we can now adjust. Friends, also new in Express. I know this feels like a lot of announcements today, but because Adobe Max was last week in London, and so there's new things to show you. We've always had this kind of selected layer view. Now we have a scene view. This won't make as much sense for this specific clip, but just know that it's here, and you can toggle between the two, so between selected layer and scene view. I feel like one of these videos, I'm not sure I like the animation, I'm going to turn that off. One of these videos is pretty much your first piece of social media content, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's amazing.
And so we're going to go ahead and click share. What I'm going to do, you have the option, by the way, you have the option to download this if you want. We would just click that download button. You would obviously download this as an MP4. So it's going to give you a variety of file options, but video, Alan, you would choose MP4, best for video, audio, and animations. Or better yet, since we know that you don't have a ton of extra time, you stay very busy with client projects. You had a call this morning at like 7 a.m., did you not?
I had 6 calls.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
6 calls this morning.
Stay on East Coast time.
Oh my God. You work way harder than I do. Share to social media. So what we can do is go ahead and I'll click your name right there. Again, shared social calendars. I'm going to click this and we can go ahead and work on a caption. Give me a one sentence that complements kind of what you say about self-awareness.
In order to be effective, you need to be self-aware.
I love it. So we can literally start with that. That took you all of 3 seconds to create. From here, we can click generate. If we want that to kind of inspire a caption, let's say you're short on time. I know you are. We don't have all day to write a caption for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
While the video is uploading, we can go rewrite, shorten, or lengthen. I kind of like the idea of lengthen. So both are working in tandem. We have our clip that was extracted from a long form piece of content. We didn't have time to show it to you in this hour, but coming up, I have a whole hour set aside that I don't even have planned because Alan is gonna, there we go. So after this, it's gonna be Lucas and Alan together talking, continuing this conversation about content strategy. By the way, Lucas is like, literally, don't tell him this, even though I know he's watching live. He's one of the smartest people I know when it comes to content strategy. He also has a bazillion followers on Instagram. That's a fact, I didn't exaggerate. So you and I are gonna work together at the 12 Pacific hour, and we're gonna continue on with some quick actions and with some content creation, and we're gonna have the whole week scheduled for you. So look at this, it took that single sentence and generated a longer caption. And again, this is using AI. It might not always get it right.
I would feel comfortable with posting that.
Sweet. So what we might do here is we could go ahead and schedule this for next week, or what I often like to do is I like to do this in parts. So I'll kind of get in the zone on content creation, and I'll batch create, which means, okay, I've got half an hour between phone calls. I'm gonna hop into Adobe Express and create as much content as I can in that time. I'm not gonna schedule it yet. I'll come back and take the whatever 6, 7, 8 posts that I've created and get those scheduled. So what you can do is set this as a draft. So I'm gonna go ahead and click Add Draft. And then we're gonna click View in Calendar. And what that's gonna do, this is important because you might be like, where did it go? This little icon right over there is all of your unscheduled posts, okay? And so here is where we can even just create a central place to have those posts, and then you can go ahead and get them scheduled on your social media platforms. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense.
Friends in the chat.
Staging area, basically.
Yes, exactly. It's a staging area, exactly. And one way that I often use unscheduled posts is I will create a post, duplicate it, leave it in unscheduled posts, come back to it 2 months later, and repost it. One kind of misconception is that your social media content needs to be brand new all the time. Lucas will tell you, probably in a few minutes, that there's no harm in repurposing content or taking a piece of content that could be a text post, it could be an image, and turning it into something else, like a carousel, a newsletter blast, all these types of things. The theme of today is like repurposing content. It's also following the path of lesser resistance, okay? Our small business users for Express are very busy people. Whether you're a marketer, you're creative, you're a CEO like Alan, chances are you've got a very busy to-do list. We want to show you today, in the hours that we have, how you can be using this platform to save time, take existing content that you've already got that's created for you, and repurpose it. Sound good?
Sounds like a great plan.
Somehow we've already arrived at the end of our first hour. I love, chat, that you've been so interactive and here for the day. Don't go anywhere, because in a few minutes while we reset, Alan is going to be with Lucas and they're going to work together on a content strategy for Alan as a personal brand, but also Alan's team, his company. We're thinking today about Express in the context of business. That can be small business, can be enterprise. This platform is perfect for you. So don't go anywhere. Stick around. We'll reset and we'll be back here in a few minutes. Well done.
Thanks, sir.
My
So I think we're going to be working in a little bit of Illustrator work, doing some vector line art.
Let's search
I
templates
play
for this.
a
Let's
card
go
game.
and search.
It involves a lot of like using
Travel.
different
I
tokens
love this.
for
This is really what I'm
different
going
types
for.
of
This one I
creatures
will
and
make square.
effects and things like that. And I'm going to be kind of
Let's
building
go
off
trip.
of this little. So I think we're going to be working in a little bit of Illustrator work, doing some vector line art. I play a card game. It involves a lot of like using different tokens for different types of creatures and effects and things like that. And I'm gonna be kind of building off of this little mushroom carrier, like warrior type guy. So I'm just gonna hop in the pen tool here, kind of adjust my stroke. One of the tools that I've also been trying to implement a bit more is the smooth tool. When I'm just drawing with the pen tool, it really helps like kind of soften up lines that aren't perfect, and it gives me a lot less of a headache. So yeah, I'm just lining some stuff up over here, getting some little lines for this wood here.
My favorite format actually to share on Instagram is the carousel post. Let's search templates for this. Let's go in and search. Let's go travel. I love this. This is really what I'm going for. This one I will make square. My Miami. Let's go trip. Okay, so I'm using some things from the template, some things I'm not. Let's see if there's some doodles of like palm trees or something that we can use. Let's go with this. I love using the duotone effects. I really just wanted this template for the front cover. I'm actually going to just remove these ones and add a same size. We're gonna make the background black. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a photo grid, and then we're gonna replace this with some images. What I'm doing here is I'm just clicking replace, and then this one I'll replace from photos. Yeah, there we go. Let's go ahead and we'll do this one. Here are my options. We got my Miami trip, we got travel photo, we got teaching or speaking photo. So I'm gonna show a way you can use draw shape to really add some drawings onto your design. So let's go to elements. So you just go to shapes, and then it gives you this option. These different dash ones.
Road.
Yeah, like a little road.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put those in there. I'm gonna make.
Oh, and you can doodle. With
Oh,
it.
you gotta try this.
Wow.
You gotta try this after this. It's so fun.
Okay.
So we'll go. Ooh. There we go.
Ooh,
Right?
That was amazing.
There we go. And then now this will be our finish. Add a little airplane here. Make it visible. And then I'll just do like a map marker. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. That's exactly what I was looking for. All right, and there you have it. I have an Instagram
Awesome.
carousel, nice and multimedia scrapbook style. We got some doodles, we got some images, using some things like grids, and then also using the new draw shape feature, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Adobe Live. I'm Lucas O'Keefe. I'm joined with Alan Friedman, and we are chatting all things business content today. So we have a full day with Alan, Phil, who was just on with you, and we're really just diving into a comprehensive business strategy. How can a business owner like yourself, Alan, show up across all these, I'm sure, quite daunting platforms that exist today? So that's what we're diving into. Why don't you introduce yourself? I know we've already done it, but we maybe have some people tuning in just for this session. Quick intro for what we're diving into for your personal brand or your business brand.
Yeah. So Alan Friedman, founder and CEO at J3P Health. I work as an organizational psychologist and an executive coach, primarily with healthcare leaders with a special focus on surgeons. That's what I kind of do on my day job. And I'm here to learn what I don't know from the experts.
And what we're learning today is that there are just so many platforms to show up on.
Yeah.
And my understanding is you like to consume LinkedIn. Do you post on LinkedIn yet?
I have, but not as regularly as I probably need to.
Yeah, and LinkedIn, to that note, LinkedIn is becoming that content machine where we're seeing all mediums of content showing up. I was watching the chat in the last session you and Phil just had, and on that note, shout out to our chat. Let us know where you are tuning in from. Hello, Robert, I see. Hello, Ryan. It's awesome to see. So please ask us your questions at any time, and we'll get to that. I was having a conversation in the chat about how LinkedIn has like a full-blown video feed now, which feels like it's adjacent to Instagram Reels, even TikTok, which I never thought we'd be in this world where TikTok and LinkedIn have those parallels. But we're going to go ahead and pop into Adobe Express because we have so much content that we can make for you with the awesome brand that Phil and you have built out already. And I want to start right where you two left off, which is with this video clip that you both worked on. And you guys used the clip maker that is built into Adobe Express. And what you did is you made this clip that is from one of your speaking roles, or where you are speaking about what you do. And we have this clip. I love how there's already captions put on there. But what I would like to do, so we already have one of the two must-haves for social media content, which is captions, right? We want our readers to be able to read it, to see what's going on, whether they have sound or not.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I watch a lot of my content with volume off. How do you like to consume?
Same thing.
Yeah. We like to be able to read what's going on. If you don't have these on-screen captions right here, someone who doesn't have headphones, is maybe on the bus, doesn't want to be, wants to respect the people around them and doesn't want to blast the volume, they're going to swipe right past that. So I love how you guys use the clip maker to automatically include these. But what we can do as well, something I love to do for social media content, is we're going to add a few other details that really make this video, I'm going to use the cliche, really make it pop to show up on someone's feed. And something I like to do is right in the opening few seconds of the video, we're going to add a title, just a very short title talking about what this video is going to tell us. So I could scroll through the captions, but to what you recall, what's like the general topic of this video clip that you and Phil grabbed?
It's really defining what self-awareness is. Self-awareness is a really esoteric, ambiguous topic. What we do is we drill down in terms of how does self-awareness impact kind of people getting what they want.
Awesome.
That's really what
that's awesome. So what we'll take from that is I love to just extract that and turn it into like a 2 to 3 word hook that we're going to put right here at the top. So let's see. Let's type self-awareness. Gets you what you want?
Let's try that, yeah. Let's see what it comes up with.
So we'll go ahead and pop that in there. Again, I saw you and Phil were just starting to dabble into rewriting and captions. Let's see, like you said, let's see what comes up. I like to use shorten. I'm already leaning on, this is already quite short. Self-awareness gets you what you want. But let's see what it comes up with. And it is, I love how there's different tones. I don't know if you're seeing those there, but we can go with inspirational. We can go with professional, which is what I'll probably go with. We can go with personal, comical, casual, academic. It's really fun to play around with these and to get those different feels. We are speaking from a personal brand content here, right? So sometimes someone's personal brand might be more comical or casual than their professional brand, which is fun to play with.
Absolutely.
While that's working out some options, I want to say, I see Ryan's asking for a walkthrough of my stickers. We have Jeff tuning in from Northeast Pennsylvania. And we have Sean pointing out that it is kind of like clickbait, where what we do is we do like a little subtitle up top. We basically are creating the clickbait right here. So we'll see what it comes up with. Oh, here we go. So we did that quick shorten. I put in self-awareness gets you what you want, and it gives, look what it came up with. Know yourself, get more. Awareness equals desire. Understand to achieve. Any of those stand out to you?
I like understand to achieve.
Yeah, that was my favorite too. So we're gonna go ahead and put that in there. And now we're gonna actually just make sure that matches your brand. So in our font, I saw that you guys built out your brand. I have a lot of brands here, but alphabetically, there you are right at the top.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is we can add in those fonts that Phil loaded in for you, which is really good. We're probably gonna go with our more bold looking. So we'll go with this one here, the Gibson one right here. And we're just what we're doing right here is basically, like I said, making sure this is the first thing people see. Because we really do have such short attention spans, for better or for worse. I'm a teacher, so I see it in the classroom every single day with my students, and also in my own content consumption. But we want for those short attention spans, we want to make sure that this is telling someone right away what the video is going to be about, and ideally telling them, here's why you should watch it. This is applicable to you. So someone who is maybe normally wouldn't give us the time to watch the whole video and find out what it's about, this understand to achieve line is going to be that nice hook for them. Something I like to do, just small tips, is how would you say it? That font's kind of hard to see, right?
Yeah,
Understand to
blends in.
achieve.
Yeah.
We want to make sure it's nice and it really stands out. So what we can easily do is add an outline to it, which is good. So that's what I'm doing here in Adobe Express, and I'm making sure that really just is visible. And as you can see, I'm adding some variation here. I'm making sure the outline's thick enough for people to actually notice. We're going to go ahead and create that clickbait that Sean pointed out. So here we go. Understand to achieve.
Wow.
And that's going to be there right away. This is important. And if you look at most clips today, you'll see they have something like this. I have my timeline here at the bottom. We don't want understand to achieve to be there the whole time, because eventually you can see our on-screen captions are going to come in, and we don't want them to be in the way of one another. So I'm just going to make sure you can see at the bottom it's telling me how many seconds it's going to be. I like to keep this tagline, this title, for like 5 seconds, right? Just enough for someone to read it, someone to see, okay, I like that. I'm gonna hold my focus on this post, and then by that point the video's already started and we have them. If you can grab someone's attention in the first 3 seconds, they'll probably watch the whole video.
Wow.
So put that up a bit higher. And then some other cool things is I like to incorporate motion into my videos. Of course, your video is already going to have motion, right, as you are moving and speaking. But we also can add some motion as another hook in terms of this text flying onto the screen, which is nice. A way it was described to me is think about when you're watching content, like when you're consuming content. Are you moving very often when you're consuming content? No, right? It might be on a couch, people might be commuting, they might be on a bus or in a car, right? They're probably not active or moving while they're scrolling.
Yeah.
So you want that content to give that to give that movement and give that person what they're missing out through their scroll cycle that they're stuck in.
So it becomes immersive.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So we're trying to make it more immersive and add this in for the viewer. And a great way to do that is we're going to animate it. So what I have here is our text highlighted, and then that opens up a bunch of fun options that are it's always going to be on the left in Adobe Express. Because my understanding is you and Phil, you're going to dive into Adobe Express for the first time later today with
Should
Phil.
be interesting.
So not only for our viewers, but also for you, I'll break it down what we're doing here.
Yeah, it's great.
But you'll see everything on the left. In this case, because we are doing animation. And if you are in the chat, I'd love to know your experience with Adobe Express. Have you been, are you a veteran at this point? Have you been using it a lot? Are you on the newer side? And if you are, please ask questions, because that's what we're here for your questions, their questions. And I learned a lot just from watching Phil. So I have some questions. Him and I are going to be on here right after this, and he's going to show me some new features that I haven't even dived into yet because they're brand new.
That's great.
Which is a lot of fun. So let's see. What we're doing here, I activated some animations, and we're going to see which one kind of grabs our focus. So we have, as you can see, I have the in animations because that's what we're doing. It's the pop in, and they're all sorted. You can have ones that loop and just constantly stay on the video. You can have ones for like outros to get that text out of there. Maybe we'll play with that. But let's go ahead. Let's look at some of these incoming animations. So we got bungee. That one just drops in. The fun thing I love about this is you can like customize how many bounces. Every animation has like options. So like, let's have fun here. 4 bounces. There we go. We can make it longer so the bounces are slow. There's tons of options. You can even change the direction that it bungees in from. That's bungee. I'll go through the others faster because I could play with these for hours. So we got rise, slide, that one's pretty good. Spin might be a little chaotic, and tumble. I use tumble in a lot of my education stuff. It's for like, it's videos that teachers are showing in the classroom. So, it's more fun for kids. So I'll use tumble for them. For us, let's see. Well, maybe we got drift, drop. Any of these standing out to you? Slide, rise.
I like the rise.
Yeah, rise is pretty good. So let's take a look at the options we have here. So for rise, again, we have a duration. It's funny how much of like, I'm gonna use the word science, how much science goes into this. Not that I'm qualified to say that in any way, but I'm sure you could speak to the psychology of it way more than I can. But the interesting thing that we have going here, we just wanna make sure we have our screen there. But the interesting thing is, if I have a 2.5 second duration, that's way too slow, right? This text is rising in. If it's taking 2.5 seconds, someone's probably not gonna see it, right? So instead, I probably wanna make it, let's see it rise in like, less than a second, comes in nice and fast. Because again, I'm just trying to have that hook of like, here's motion, here's what you need, watch the video. So I like that. We're gonna rise it in. We can have like smooth rise. We can have strong rise. We can have a loud rise, like where it bounces a little bit. Let's do that one. So right now, here's what we got with our video. We have it popping in. And then I can see right now, I want to raise it a little bit above our captions. There we go. I could also drop the captions down if I wanted to, which is nice.
Right.
But let's have, that looks nice and laid out. There we go. So we're gonna play that. And what I want now is I'm gonna add a looping animation just for those first 5 seconds. So looping means it's ongoing. It's gonna actually just stay on screen and continue to move for those 5 seconds. So looping, there's some fun ones. There's like Bob, so while it's on screen, it does that. Probably a little bit more playful than we're looking for.
Yeah.
But we have, same thing, I'm gonna go with the playful ones. We got Yo-Yo. Again, you gotta keep me in check because I'll just play with these for the next 30 minutes. Pulse. Pulse is usually my go-to. I like Pulse. It's kind of like going with like understand to achieve. It adds kind of that power that we're going with.
Yeah.
So let's go with that. But I do think it's doing a little bit too much. So again, we're gonna just drop the intensity. So it's not going as big. Pops up and it's just rising there.
Yeah.
Could even drop the speed a little bit. And then just kind of breathe in for those 5 seconds. So that's a good way to just make sure that your video is again playing. And then it's there, and then it's gone.
Wow.
And I sorry in the audience if I have my volume playing. I don't know if I double blasted them, but hopefully they can see that going. But what we have is that combination. Those are really the 2 main things you want. Well, I should say 3, because we have you as the visual hook, right? I think it's very important that it starts with you, the person behind the personal brand, because that's who people who follow you know to see.
Yeah.
Right. I see this very often where brands, especially personal brands, they'll make what I consider to be a mistake, where they'll have like this flashy intro where it's like their logo popping across the screen, or it's like, you know, a nice like graphic showing up for like the first 3 seconds. That works on YouTube, right? YouTube's longer form, but on social media, they want to see you right away. They want to make sure, okay, Alan's the guy I follow, so I want to recognize that this is Alan's content in the first second.
So it's more personal.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
You don't want it to feel like an advertisement.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, it sounds wild, but it really does come down to those first crucial seconds. And I think that, you know, this is a screenshot here, what we're seeing on screen. This is our first second, and I think we have 3 hooks. We have you, we have understand to achieve, and we have the captions right away. I think that clip maker did a really good job. So again, you and Phil used the clip maker.
Yeah.
For anyone just tuning in, we took a longer form, horizontal actually. It was a full horizontally filmed video, right, of Alan speaking. We ran it through the Adobe Express clip maker, which is a brand new feature, and it trimmed it and gave us this specific social media ready piece of content, which is a lot of fun. So we have 3 things. We got you, we have the captions, and we have the title, which is, I'm pretty happy with that. I like where we're going. So what we're gonna do now, and again, I could schedule this, but one thing I always like to do is we're gonna create a cover for this reel. Okay, so if you go on Instagram, all the posts, we have the video, but if I look on someone's main feed, I don't really want to see like the captions and stuff. I just want to make it, this is where it comes down to making it look more polished. So we're going to make just a cover photo, which is a real cover. I think LinkedIn also has that option. I have to double check, but LinkedIn's still evolving their video. But our idea today is that we can repurpose a lot of this content. Yeah, if you have this post ready, you can share this on LinkedIn. You can share this on Instagram Reels. You can share this, well, your audience probably isn't on TikTok, I'd imagine, but you can share this on
some of the younger folks.
Yeah, you never know. You can share this on YouTube Shorts too. YouTube has its own vertical video feed now as well.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Within the work that we've just done here, is there a way, if there was a specific kind of scene within this short video clip where I kind of liked how I looked and I wanted to convert that to almost a headshot that I can use on my website? Is there a way to kind of extract that in a high quality way?
Yeah, so high quality, not as much as like taking a photo. That's just the only downside to video. But what we'll actually do, I'll show us how we're gonna do that, is I'm gonna duplicate this clip. I try to duplicate often because, you know, I like to, as you can see, we have a bunch of clips all down here. I can actually zoom out and see all the different things we're working with. But what we'll do is we'll take a scene that you like and we'll screenshot that and we'll make that into the real cover, which will be a lot of fun.
Okay, great.
So let's go ahead and do that. We'll work in this project. So whenever you're doing video, I don't know if you and Phil will do video, but if you do, when you do video, you just go to edit timeline down here and it pops up everything you'll need. And we're just gonna scroll through and we'll find like a still frame that we like. You're lucky that there's a lot of good ones for you. I find I speak too quickly, so whenever I'm trying to find a still frame, it's so hard for me. But obviously it lends to your speaking that it's very easy to find a good still frame. So let's go ahead and find one. Actually, why don't you tell me when to stop?
This is your area. You tell me what to expect. I'm very critical of myself. I have a couple of daughters who are very critical as well, so you can...
I like this one. I think this one's really good because you're looking right at the camera.
Perfect.
And I'm actually guessing you just finished a sentence, so it's got that pause. Like I said, when it's me doing this, I'm like mid-sentence and it's so hard for me to find it.
Got it.
So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna just delete the captions just for that because I just wanna make this into a cover. What I'll actually do too, because we want it to be the highest quality possible, I'm just gonna delete the understand to achieve right now.
Okay.
Because all we're doing is we're just gonna screenshot. We're screenshotting it right here. Save that to clipboard. And now I'm gonna duplicate this again. So we could do, let's just insert a new page. So I know we're blocking that, but what we could do is insert a new page. What this means is it's the same size as our 1080 by 1920 pixels. So it's not a square, it's not horizontal. We want it to stay in this size, But instead of me duplicating and just getting a bunch of video files, it's just going to be a blank sheet that we can start with.
Understood.
And there, I'm going to paste that image that we took.
Wow.
Easy things to do. Something I like about Adobe Express is everyone has their own options that they like to do. You can expand it to fit, or you can just do, if you look on the left here, it says set background. So again, whenever you click on an element, so in this case, the photo of you, this image, it's going to give us a bunch of options. We could remove the background, which I saw you and Phil did something similar when you did the profile picture,
the headshot, right?
quick action. That was awesome. We can actually erase some details, which Phil and I later on, we're going to get into some photo retouching with some wonderful photos you have. And we're going to use Photoshop for that. But if someone maybe isn't comfortable with Photoshop, or they're just, again, Adobe Express is in the name.
Yeah.
If they want to just stay within Adobe Express and do something quickly, they can do most of these tasks right here. We can remove stuff. We can add stuff with Generate Image. We just want to set it as the background. So that's good. That's going to be the cover of our image. So if we were to post this on Instagram, if we were to post this on LinkedIn, people will see this first. Maybe like when they're scrolling through your feed, they'll see that photo, tap on it, and then the video will play. So I'll go ahead, I'll get that font we made because we do want to still reuse that. And all I'm doing is flipping between our different, we have videos. You can see, I know it's kind of small, but we can see when a file's a video. It's got the little play button. This one does not because that's just our still image. And that's just the one we're going to turn into a cover photo.
What's amazing is Adobe for me, prior to being introduced by Phil to Adobe Express, was kind of the PDF. That was what I knew it. But this is just a whole kind of platform, and we're speaking about this to be used kind of from a social media presence. But I'm thinking about just in the way that I interact with our clients in terms of giving presentations, giving talks, even in terms of the creation of just templates that can be reused over and over again.
Yeah.
So as you're doing this, I'm thinking, if this is just kind of a series, this becomes the face of that series, and then we can insert different videos. And
I like that you're picking up on that already. That's exactly it. Like the idea would be that like someone going to the zoom out of all your content is they'll see multiple images, obviously different still frames, but they'll see a bunch of images, they'll read different titles. You mentioned series. The best way to actually stand out on social media right now is with series content. So we're seeing that people who are trying to, that's a good one to write down. People who are trying to build their audience, they're finding that if they have a series of content, so like, episode 1 or step 1, and then tomorrow it's step 2 or episode 2, and then have that going on, or like day 1 of doing that, of trying to achieve this. Day 2 of trying to achieve this. If you're in the audience, let me know if you've seen any great series content lately on any social media platforms. But it's the best way to really get people to hit follow because they realize, oh, this person's clearly making a series. That means that they're not just going to be like a one and done post. I like this post. If they're making it a series, they're probably going to post series episode 2 tomorrow, or the week later, or episode 3 2 weeks later.
And as each series kind of is published, and obviously there's more followership, it kind of becomes, it's almost like a flywheel.
Yes, exactly.
Right? It becomes exponential.
Yep, it builds momentum, and it's something that really is, that momentum is the best way to grow on social media right now. Yeah. So this is exactly what we would do. We could even put like if we wanted to, we could even put like a subheading here, which all I did there, I go a little fast. What I did, I'm just taking the text that we already did. I'm going to use Command C to copy, Command V to paste. And now I want to make like a subtext, a subtitle here. We're going to change that. But like, if we did like, let's say we did, I'm just going to make this up. What if it was called like the Excellence series or something, right?
Yeah.
Series 1, right? And we could put that there. I can change it to the secondary font because you guys have it set into like headers and other like light, semi-bold. We can make it something like that. I'm just going to drop the outline a bit because it's a little thick for that font. But I can have something like that, right? And then the next time we do this video, it's episode 2, right? Or episode 3. And someone could easily know how to watch them in order. That's a great way to get people following you or trusting your content.
But it really is very easy as I'm sitting here in a very short period of time kind of once the kind of the process is created and there's almost a template.
Yep.
To create the content, especially if you have the content already done,
Yes.
it becomes very easy, and it becomes something that you can do, frankly, probably in less than 10 minutes, if not less. I mean, I'm not that quick with technology.
No, I'm about 10 minutes as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just, and it's using existing content, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yes.
We've already invented the wheel. Now we're just repurposing it.
Yeah. That's exactly our theme today.
Okay.
Is, business owners especially they're busy, right? And content can take a long time, especially if you are newer to it. So the idea is take one piece of content like we did here, this longer form video, and turn it into 4 posts. You and Phil got multiple clips here, right?
Yeah.
I saw there's when you guys used the clip maker, I know I made my image here, but these are actually separate clips. These number 4 and 5 here. So we have 4 posts that we could make and share. And for some people who just share video, again, I know to our audience it probably looks like the same video, but there's different things going on there, which is a lot of fun.
It's interesting as I'm listening to you. We really don't spend any money on marketing as an organization for J3P Health.
Okay.
The majority of our business is really through word of mouth.
Oh yeah.
But it's really interesting though, because within the followership that I have on LinkedIn, if we actually had content like this, that was, to your point from earlier, a series.
Yep.
To convert all the people that I know that have worked with us or have worked with me is a pretty easy, cost-effective exercise. Doesn't take a lot of time, doesn't take a lot of budget, and perpetuates that kind of first-hand referral in terms of that's how we generate our business now.
Exactly.
And then we can, I'm sure that Adobe Express has, forms that can be integrated, right?
Yep. No, exactly. And that's exactly it. You already put in the time to make this longer form video.
Yeah.
Right? You already put that in. That was obviously a bigger project, but once you had it done, look what you have now. And just to kind of highlight to people that these are different clips, I just noticed too, it actually named all the clips. I know it's hard to see, but we have this one, Understanding Self-Awareness. This one was Triggers of Self-Awareness. This one was Building Relationships. So all of these are different clips that we could then, very quickly, I'm going to take our Understanding to Achieve, and let's even just use those titles that they gave us. And now we're going to make this one Triggers of Self-Awareness.
Huh. Wow.
There's our next post. And the nice thing is too, I'm going to turn my volume off just so we don't blast people with the volume and then me talking. The great thing here is, and hey Francisco, thank you. Let's watch this. So now right away, it starts right away. And then that's our next clip. So we have Triggers of Self-Awareness now. That's 2 posts, right?
Yeah.
There we go. We could easily do what we did and make another cover photo for that. And if we do it again, and all I'm doing here, just so I can show you, remember this title that we made, right? Because I applied the animations to it, I talked about it, so it took a bit of time, right? But now on every video, I'm just copying and pasting that same title, that
Just
same
modifying
text.
it within.
Yeah, and just changing the font, but all the animations are pasting over with it. So I don't have to keep doing that. So this one's called Building Relationships.
Wow.
I always make typos when I'm live. So here we go. We have, and I'll show you the animations that pop in. There's the animation we applied. So it all sticks. You don't have to do, like you said, you don't have to do things 5 times over and over again. We now have, we have 3 posts. So this one is just our cover photo, right? So we'll ignore that first one. I would probably do the same for these, but we have Understand to Achieve, which is a clip. We have Triggers of Self-Awareness, and we have Building Relationships.
So there's a question in the chat that what is the best strategy to keep audience watching until the end?
That's huge, and I love that we got that because it really does come down to that. Who was that?
Othman.
Awesome. Thank you very much for asking that, because that is what everybody's asking nowadays. And it comes down to the beginning and the end. I always say sandwich it and use the sandwich method. So I showed how our opening part of the sandwich, that first piece of bread, was this 3-part strategy. We have the visual hook of Alan for Alan's personal brand. People look to see you so they know, okay, automatically I know this guy, I followed him. Let's see what he has to say, right? We have the text on screen and we have the captions. At the end, you want to do the exact same thing, right? You want to just be to the point, cut out any unnecessary pauses in the middle section here, which the clip maker already did a very good job of making sure it's a good part. And if you look, this is almost exactly 30 seconds long. That's like the sweet spot I find for social media. Keep it to 30 seconds. Less is a little bit too short. More though, you're really gonna see people drop off. So have that nice 30-second clip. Open with that 3-part hook, okay, visual, text, and captions, and then end with the same thing. I like to I might put here, and let's do it. Again, I'm reusing this box we already made. I'm just gonna go down, I'm just dragging to where I want it. We want it let's put it about there. Let's see, is that where we want it? I wanna make sure I have the right layers here. Maybe we want it, I'm trying to see, where do we want that to be? We want it to be at the very end. Oops. So I probably want it to appear down here. So that's our ending one now. So if you look, we have understanding to achieve, nothing appears in the middle. And then this one, I don't want it to be understanding to achieve, but maybe we'll put a call to action is what I always say. So maybe something like, it could be as simple as, follow to continue the journey or follow for more, right?
Yeah.
Follow for, if it was like Instagram where following is more the lingo you use, I would use that, right? Follow.
Or stay tuned or something.
Yeah. To continue the series, right? That's a good one.
Or the journey.
Yeah, I like journey too.
But at the series, what I like about that word is it indicates that there's more content coming.
Yes.
And it's not this kind of vague, esoteric term of journey. What is it? What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Tell people there's more to come. So if we look, we got like our sandwich going on here, where I have at the beginning, we have understand to achieve, right? It disappears 5 seconds in. I'm just scrolling through. I'm just dragging us through the video to save time. And then in the last 5 seconds, follow to continue the series, right? If it's LinkedIn, you could do connect so we can chat, right? Like something like that. That's the only thing I would change from platform to platform. Know the very subtle nuances from one platform to the next. And if we wanted to do that, the great thing we can do is, again, I can easily just duplicate. So we can make a duplication of that. And now, if I go zoom out, this is my LinkedIn one. That's my Instagram one. Follow to continue the series.
And the only thing that would be impacted by this is the calendar or the scheduler. We wouldn't be able to really utilize that with one posting. We'd have to kind of do it separately based upon.
Which is why a great thing we'll do. We can still keep it all in this project though, which is nice, right? Yeah. So what I'm going to do, it's kind of small at the top there, but I'm naming this page here Instagram, right? So that one's there. Here's the copy I made. This one, and again, we probably could change it to understand to achieve because we changed that after. This could be my LinkedIn. So someone who, whether it's you or someone else uploading your content, they can very quickly know which ones are which and which ones are going to stay.
Great.
Let's see, I like how some people are saying some ways to make people stay on content. Gamifying your content can work too, especially since TikTok might put an ad right before the end of the videos. So I do like that idea of gamifying your content. Again, it all works for the context of what you're doing. Something I like to do that I've seen is people will put like the end of the video, right? Like that really snappy, good line of the video, put that right at the start. So someone is basically shown like a 3-second preview of like the really juicy part of the video, and then the rest of the video plays with that juicy part still in it. But that's a good way to kind of gamify it too, to keep people watching. Or if you're like me and you are a teacher creating content for kids, you put a clip of people put a clip of like a video game at the bottom. You seen that, where people will copy like a video game clip on the bottom as a joke to like attention spans nowadays. Something I want to do though, because I love how you brought up the idea of PDF documents, and business owners really use PDFs, and I want to show a really easy way to turn those PDFs into social media content, especially for LinkedIn, but also for Instagram. Instagram has something called a carousel post. Okay, so I have an example here. This is one I made for myself. A carousel post is any kind of swipeable piece of content. So if someone were to see this post on Instagram, on their main feed, and also on LinkedIn, it's quite the same. I'll mention how it can be different. If I posted this, someone on their main feed would see this when they first open up, see my content. Then they have the option. They can either scroll up and down and move off my post to the next post, right? Which is what most of us are doing. We're stuck in that swipe loop, up and down. I like carousels because they do what's called a pattern break, right? Instead of someone just stuck in that kind of mindless up and down scroll, if they are hooked in by this, they can swipe left and right to go to the next screen that I've shown. So they're gonna swipe and they see this. Planning a whole month of content, it's easy. Okay, that has my attention. I'm gonna swipe again. Step 1, then I get into the tips. Step 2, Step 3, Step 4, and then similar to that sandwich method, it's interesting how between videos and between static carousels, the same things apply. You wanna have an intro hook, right? Opening, and then I like Francisco's question, what is the ideal length of the intro hook? I do think 1 to 2 seconds. I think 2 seconds is probably ideal. I know I showed 5. If it's on the screen for 5, that's fine. But it should happen, the main part of that hook should happen within the first 2 seconds. Again, it sounds ridiculous, but 2 seconds versus 5, somehow in the world of social media is like ages between those two. But what I have here is I have my intro hook, and then at the very end, I have my call to action. Share this post if you're up for the challenge. I can tag myself here in this picture so someone can just tap on it and go to my profile. But this is a great way to make content.
And you basically hyperlink that?
Yeah. Okay. So Instagram has a thing called tagging where you can tag other accounts, but a good tip for anyone, you can tag yourself in your own content. So if this were on Instagram, if someone tapped their screen, the little hyperlink, a little icon would appear right here with my username. And yeah, if they tap that in Instagram, it takes them right to my profile where they can hopefully click follow.
I'm showing my social media naivete here.
No, honestly, every platform changes so often and has so many new features that I think there are social media veterans listening right now who probably don't know about certain features or haven't used certain features. So there's a lot. So I love these questions. I love being able to talk about this.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell.
Obvious.
So this is a great way to, this could easily be like an ebook or like a PDF document I've already made. And instead of it being like a 1-pager or a 2-pager or a newsletter, I've just kind of split it up into separate slides. If we want, a great thing I like to do in Adobe Express is I can also view it in like the whole comprehensive way. You can see the little pattern I have going here, right? And one thing that's great is, let's say I've said, okay, Alan, I've showed you how to do this, but if you want to have a good start of some content for you to make, why don't I just give you this template? I can give you this post that I've made, and what we can do is, I'll show a few ways, so this won't be the only way I'll show some content, but I'm going to go to brands. Let's say this is you now. You're going to brands. I click on your brand, which we have right here. And the great thing is, there's this option at the top that says apply brand. Okay, and when I click that, it gives you a bunch of options, but it's going to take these colors that Phil has put in and set up with you guys to get you guys set up together. And anywhere that there is colors, so like this brown that I've put in for myself, this kind of like cream color, even the fonts, it's going to cycle through just really quick options that include these colors instead of the ones I've used. I should have probably used a more radically different color palette because it works. Like these could be neon fluorescent colors and it will change it. It will also change fonts. So again, I know we have kind of similar fonts already, but it will change fonts, which is really cool. So let's click it, and right there, it applied this brown, right?
Wow.
And we both have the same kind of, it applied this gray to the font. See, sometimes it gives you options you don't quite want, but just to show how it's cycling through the colors. There we go, popped in a little bit more dark, given with that. And we keep going. Again, you can just endlessly click, which is a lot of fun. And it keeps going until you find one you like. You can also stop halfway through and say like, all right, I like maybe the blue background that it applied here. And I like kind of like the orange here, but obviously the font isn't the most visible. So let's make that the only thing I'm manually changing. And then I'm just quickly subbing in the more visible colors.
Huh.
It's really quick and easy to be able to do that. Maybe I'm making this more the contrast. I like how Phil was talking about contrast. Obviously, you're not creating content on how to plan an entire month of content, but this is a great way to show that someone can share something to you, and from there, you can pretty much have a good starting point already.
In any kind of file format, you can take that and
That's amazing.
Anything we're working on here, any project size. I could actually, on that video clip we had, if let's say I had like different fonts, I could have done apply brand and it would have cycled through these fonts to automatically add them, and the colors too, which is very cool.
Impressive.
And since we're talking starting points though, I want to show something else here. So I love to use templates, okay? And what I did here was I just went to templates and I typed in, I think like business flyer or something. And that's how I got this, okay? But there's some things I already really like about this post, right? Obviously we're not talking about a business conference, but we're gonna show how we can take something like this and you or someone working with you could easily make this not Matthew Smith anonymous here.
Right.
We're gonna make this an Alan Friedman post, right?
Right.
So one thing that stands out first, this could be a PDF document that I'm making because it already is a flyer, right? A flyer, but we're talking social media content. So what I'm gonna do is I want this to be sized for social media, for LinkedIn. Maybe we were to post it on Instagram. This resize feature will basically take content and you can pick what it's gonna turn into. So if I want any of these social media formats, I can make this an Instagram square post. I can make it a story. I can make it a reel. I can make all of the above. I can check them all and it will give me a separate version of each of those. One thing I want to do first, let's just swap this to you so it is you before we resize it. But I'm clicking on the photo and I'm going to just do replace from brand. And because you already have that awesome brand built out, I know you have some assets, which is great. We can just put in your photos. I like this one because it's closer up. It's got you. Click on it, and there you are. Now you're in the post, and it's already looking less Matthew Smith and more Alan Friedman, right? But let's do the rest. So what we're gonna do is resize, and I'm gonna make this a social media post. Instagram recently changed away from its square content, which was 1080 by 1080 pixels. And now what we want on Instagram is 1080 by 1350 pixels. This isn't something to take notes on, don't worry about this. But let me know in the chat if you know what I'm talking about, if you've had the headache of the Instagram grid changing. I know some people have noticed that recently where Instagram went from square content to a bit more rectangular and everyone's perfectly organized grid got thrown off. But we're gonna take this and what we're gonna do, I've set the dimensions I want. I could do some other things too, but we'll do that after because you can endlessly resize as much as you want. And I'm gonna duplicate and resize. So if you look at the bottom there, I can do duplicate and resize or just resize. The difference is resize would just take this document we have and resize that. I like to duplicate because it keeps my starting point as a reference. So I can always go back to it. So I'm gonna click duplicate and resize. You can see it's doing it. It's gonna expand on the sides a bit, which you can turn this feature off, but basically what these sidebars are doing is Adobe Express is recognizing wherever there's an image, it's expanding it because what we just made is wider than the document was. So we'll just go with that. And just like that, we have our flyer that we started with. I know they're pretty close, but in a moment, we'll make one of these an email newsletter. We'll make it a header, which is much more wide and extended. So then you'll really see the difference. But very subtle here. Here's the flyer template we started with, because I like to show sometimes if the best business templates aren't for social media posts, they're for flyers like this. You can use it and just resize it to an Instagram post. So I'm going to click on this because we're gonna work with this one now. And hello, Kane, for joining in. Just saw you pop in from Behance. Hello. What we're doing here is we're now going to make some nice LinkedIn content. So right away, let's build on that content we already did. We did, this was Phil's original. I made it. Oh, there we go. It just uploaded. Understand to achieve triggers of self-awareness, and building relationships. Let's turn this into a piece of content that's now going to be a carousel. So I guess the idea here would be 3 steps to self-awareness. Could we call that like just the general topic? So I'm going to delete the stuff we don't want. Okay, so anything that doesn't really suit it. We're not talking about a speaking event, so we're going to delete that. We're not talking about an event, so we're going to delete the locations. This is what I like about templates. Sometimes I will start with a template and then like delete 90% of the stuff.
Right.
But because I have like the framing, I have the layout, it's much better than me trying to start on my own. So let's move that. What we could put down here is we could put your name though. So I do like to see how I'm keeping some stuff from the template. Fried, right?
Yep.
MAN. There we go. And maybe, we'll put like 2025. I like to just add things like that. Some people will screenshot your content and take it. So it is important to put this stuff. And all I'm doing here is just kind of taking what I like. We're going to obviously make this bigger. So let's take the photo of you. Let's extend that. Because what we're doing here is we're making a carousel post. So similarly to this post, right, which is a carousel, it has multiple things. We're going to turn that flyer into a carousel post. So this is just the cover, okay? But again, it's your personal brand, and these photos are awesome. You can see it already matches what you're wearing.
Yeah.
I forgot to change it to your brand colors. This blue just happens to be similar.
Yeah.
But let's make sure, there we go, it's on brand. And then let's change this. I could have used apply brand, but since I've already done some work on it, I don't want to do that just yet. But just see, I'm adding like the beige instead. Otherwise, I've kept to this template quite a bit, right? We'll remove that.
Wow.
And already it's starting to look different from the post we started with. This is why, remember how I said I always like to keep a reference?
Yeah.
So I duplicated it because I like to be able to look at where we started from.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes I'll delete something and I'll be like, oh, how did the template have that? And I want to go back and just see. I can also like copy and paste stuff from here over to the next page here, but it's already starting to look different. Let's see, we're gonna obviously erase that. Let's change these to your fonts. So we'll use this body text here. Let's use the bold one. And we're gonna have a title that's gonna be different. So I like how these are already sorted into like header fonts, which is nice. All right, so we're gonna make this 3 steps to self-awareness.
Sure.
Yeah, it's super easy to just make sure like everything's lined up how you want. Like I said, because this is gonna be social media, we can maybe slide some things down a little bit. We can extend this so see how more of like the contrast is appearing?
Yeah.
I like that, right? And it lends to our title. Oh, I was like, why is it telling me there's a typo? There we go. We can also slide this because it's going to be for social media. Use the full thing. 3 steps to self-awareness. And then we're gonna put a subtitle here. I don't know, what do you think we could put? 3 steps to self-awareness. What were some of those topics?
Understanding self-awareness, triggers.
Triggers, understanding, and relationship building.
Perfect.
There we go. To get you results, right?
Perfect.
So right there, it's already looking like, this looks like a book cover, right? So the thing I love about this is someone can now be scrolling and this will be the first thing that shows up on their feed.
And we did this in 13 minutes.
We did, yeah.
Wow.
And we started with this, right? We made it match your brand. We made it look like your brand.
Wow.
And we started to make a post, right? So what I'll quickly do with the remaining time we have is, let me actually just change this color before I forget, because we do want
Brand consistency.
Yeah, exactly. I'll keep the white there. What I'm gonna do now though is I'm gonna duplicate this. Okay, so I'm gonna duplicate, and just like that, we're gonna make it just the info slides for the post. So if you remember when I did this carousel, I got right into like the info next. So we're gonna make it kind of like a swipe deck. We're gonna make a carousel post, and we're gonna include all that on this next page here. And I'll delete that. Let's make the whole thing. I like that blue, so let's make that blue the background. All right, so I would do like, on the second slide, I might do like a hook here. So I might say, self-awareness. I keep typing self-awareness. Self-awareness is key to a strong business presence. Obviously, if we took more time writing this, you could think of some better stuff.
But that's a true statement.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. So what I'm doing here, that I like to highlight just for our audience, this is more just very technical social media stuff. Right. But when you're doing a carousel post, you want the first and second slide to be a hook, because carousel posts, these swipeable kind of pitch deck content we're making here, it's the only content on Instagram that will be shown to your audience twice. And what I mean by that is if someone is going on social media and they scroll to the feed and they follow you, they see this right away. Let's say they're busy or they swipe past it.
Yeah.
Other posts, they'll never be shown that content again. They told Instagram, I don't like this, don't show me it again. But with carousels, Instagram gives like a second chance. So now if they go back on social media, let's say they swipe past it the first time, if they're back on social media an hour later, Instagram will show them the post again, but starting with this slide. So that's why it's good to have the second slide also be a hook. And that's for carousel posts. We could do things like add some logos here. I know you guys have some elements that you've included, right? We can add that. We can also add icons, but I like to do all my text first. Then I'm just going through and I'm doing the rest of the steps for the content. I like to duplicate. So like step 1, just doing a quick time check. I might do step 1. Let's see, like know your triggers, right? We'll put that there. And then here, I'll explain, knowing your triggers is a must. Here's how to do it, right? And we'll be able to actually fill that out. But all I do to make a proper carousel post is I have my cut and paste template. So we have our cover, we have our secondary cover, we have our info where we actually get into the news, and then I just keep duplicating this. So duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. And then this I can do know your triggers. Number 2, understand yourself. 3, build relationships. Something like that. And then what I'll include is an explanation of it here, right? So like add some spacing, explanation goes here. This could also be something where if you're working with a team, they could do this part and they could like set up the text boxes and say, you fill in the words, right?
That's great.
Which is probably what would work better for you and I, because if I'm struggling to think of stuff here.
I think you're doing. Right? I think you're doing a great job here.
Thank you very much. And we could add like some bullet points here, right, just to make sure. Okay, so you know that you are adding 3 things.
So the beauty of this is that, based on the fact that Phil, myself, and you are all as a part of this library and the project, I have access to everything that we're doing, and I can simply just log in later today, and I can go in and pick up where we left off.
Exactly. Okay. What we can, on that note, what I can do is like, let's say what we're doing is we're kind of building a template of our own right here, right? Once we build this template, what I can do is I can add it as a template here in your brand. So you're ready to go.
That's awesome.
Just like that.
That's great.
Well, we are running out of time, but we have a full day to continue with. So if you are tuning in, sit tight because
are
Alan,
talking to
myself,
Phil
and
Pallen,
Phil,
and he
we are
is
really
giving us
diving
the
into
10
all
steps
aspects of
to
creating
build.
content. We have coming up next, Phil and I are going to be together talking about scalable design for client and team needs, getting into the real nitty gritty of how to create a lot of content across many different formats, as we've shown in multiple ways. And we're going to really just be diving into optimizing that content strategy. As we've discussed, there are a lot of platforms to show up on.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for the audience. Sit tight, and we'll be moving on to our next session very soon.
We are talking to Phil Pallen, and he is giving us the 10 steps to building your personal brand with Adobe Express. My name is Teresa Au, and I work here at Adobe. I'm also the host of Adobe's podcast called In the Making.
What are you working with to start?
Right.
Very important when you're building a brand. Take inventory of what do I already have? In this case, it was podcast artwork designed by Adobe. Okay, so we're clear on our challenge, what we're going to accomplish with our brand. How do we sum up what we do in a sentence? This is a great template for you to work from. So I'm a title who helps audience, verb, and value. Step number 1, challenge, right? Identify the challenge. Step number 2, write a brand sentence. Step number 3 is create a mood board. This was the mood board that we put together.
I wanted something classic, timeless, sophisticated.
We're really officially moving into the brand building phase. That first phase was brand positioning. Now we're going to talk specifically about the build. So we got to sketching when we identified that Teresa loved handwritten style. We actually first asked you to sign your initials and your name. From there, my wonderful designer Kostya started to sketch. And you're gonna see how this translated into our logo choice for Teresa, okay? We would call this the mark, the logo mark. We also have what we would call a lockup, what I would call like a seal. So this is a horizontal. So this would be great in a website header. You need to really create a logo system for yourself. The truth is, we typically have at least 4 versions, and Adobe Express is the best place to start to make some of these creative decisions. You're looking at the 5-color palette that we decided on: a white, a light, an accent, a dark, and a black. What we could do is actually hop over to your stuff. If you're seeing here on the left, then click brands. I'm gonna create a new brand for you. Then upload your PNG files. There we go. We can also paste in your hex codes. Let's talk about fonts. Chances are you're gonna find your font in this amazing library. Graphics could be photos. Now, not only do you have everything you need for your brand, but you can also share this. So let's talk about brand photography. What happens, Teresa, if we accidentally photograph a bench in this absolutely incredible photo of you? Well, now, now we can use GenFill. I'm gonna highlight this bench. So we're gonna put here, remove bench. Check it out. Look at that bench that is no longer there. What would I do with a photo like this? People might look at this and go, huh, well, how would you use that? Let me show you. In Express, I can remove the background in literally a few seconds. Can you imagine that now on your website?
Yeah.
Right, so the visual just gives that kind of humanizing agent or element. We love to see your environment. We love to see props. I think props arguably are some of the most important things to bring to a photo shoot to make it a success. So yeah, this is Teresa's actual website. So we see you, we see these great little, look, there it is. There it is.
Yeah.
If our brand photos are our leading actors, our supporting actors are stock photos. Here under media, here under photos, we could type anything. Why don't we do podcast? Podcast, let's see what comes up. That looks and feels like it could have been photographed at Adobe. So I went to media, I selected this text to image. That's what we're working on here. All we have to do is just enter a prompt here for what it is that we are gonna work on. So what about this? Creative podcasting workspace. I like the idea of a graphic. We've got a real photo there. So let's see how this will look coming back as a graphic. There we go. I love that. Graphic just adds a totally different style. This would be great as a blog thumbnail. This is so exciting. You can literally create your own image using generative AI, text to image. Thank you to Adobe Firefly.
Well, thank you so much, Phil.
Learn lots. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. See you soon. Friends, we're back at it. Oh my God, it's nice to be with you in real life.
We haven't done this yet. This is our first time doing this.
We've never done it. If you are new to Adobe Live, hello, you're tuning in on the right day. If you are not new, you might recognize us together. Lucas and I stream regularly, every 2 weeks, social media makeover. Beyond that, we're actually really good friends in real life. I'm very proud that I referred you into the ambassador program. You're one of my stars. You are one of the stars. I mean, I'm just so happy to have you here today and to bring in Alan. We're having a great day. And friends, I hope you're picking up what we're putting down. Whether you're a creative pro, you're already using platforms like Adobe Express, you're definitely using our Creative Pro tools. I want you thinking about how you're using this for your brand, but also for your clients. And it's been so special to have Alan here today. Alan is a real life client of mine. I love what you guys created together. We're gonna hop over to that in a second. Alan is a great example because Alan has a personal brand. He also has a company. I love seeing him take little notes while we were working because he's actually, his wheels are turning.
Cherry on top.
Yes, because he's getting ideas on how he could be using Adobe Express for his team. Alan also has a ton of clients. They're very prestigious, actually. Hospitals, healthcare organizations. Alan is an expert that's brought in to give guidance on leadership and all kinds of things with very influential people. And so we're gonna have some fun in the next hour to talk about scalable design for clients and for teams. And again, if you're a creative pro, a graphic designer, this is still gonna be valuable for you because we're gonna show you some of these features in Express that really are perfect for your clients, for small businesses, and even for companies that are as big as enterprise.
Yeah, we really have all levels covered. It's very interesting seeing you, Alan, and myself because we all have such, we're all different areas, but there's so much overlap in what we do and the skills we all bring to the table, which is really what today's workflow is all about.
Love it.
Which is why we're blending from one session to the next. You and Alan did an awesome job getting these clips with the clip maker.
Oh, I can't take credit for that. That was 100% the clip maker, basically taking, this long form video that Alan and I had filmed about 6 months ago. And I think the theme here is like, if you go, okay, I want to post a video on LinkedIn, you're like, okay, I have to film it, I have to script it, I need to get the right camera, I need the right microphone. By the time you think about all of that, someone as busy as Alan, it's not gonna get done.
Right.
So we have to pause and go, what do we already have that we can repurpose to create a quick clip? Something that came up in our first hour that I said, Lucas is gonna have more to say on this. Not every post that you put on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, any of these, Facebook, TikTok, these don't need to be brand new ideas, right? Huge theme that we're gonna be hitting on is the idea of repurposing content. Clipmaker, a variety of quick actions and features in Express are gonna help you repurpose the things you already have. I love what you guys have been working on.
And that itself was repurposing. We took the segments, the clips, right, that we created from that long form video, which is obviously too much to be a full social media post. We instead turned it into 4 videos. My favorite way to do this, you have 4 social media posts that all lend to the same topic. So why not, stretch that back out and make a carousel post that is going to go back into that topic and then give you each of those key points. So what we're doing here is we're creating a template that Alan could basically pull upon at any time. But since he's newer to Adobe Express, as you guys are going to show in the next session, where right after this, where you're going to teach him. So if you're new to Adobe Express watching this, definitely stay tuned for that. We want to show how we can set him up for success with a template that we're locking certain permissions on, right?
Yes.
That's what we're doing here.
That's what we're doing. I'm going to navigate to the same page. As you'll see, another feature that you're just going to see inherently is that we're going to be working from the same document. So you're going to see my cursor whirling around. We're seeing Lucas's screen. I can see Lucas's cursor whirling around on my screen.
Yeah, look, there's you, and that's his Phil's screen,
Yes.
and there's my cursor.
Yes. So we're live co-creating. So it's kind of cool because even though you're looking at one screen, you're seeing both of us work at the same time. This is a feature that's built into Express. So as long as you're working from the same project, you're gonna be able to see that. So I can literally see what you're doing live. We're working together as a team. Let's say I'm probably representing the role of creative, branding background, right? Branding police, I sometimes jokingly call it. You're probably gonna play the role more of a marketer,
Yes,
right?
yep.
And so getting this, my job as a creative is to create the template, to lock the elements in place, branding police, which is, here's how this needs to look, here's the spacing. We have a brand set up in the brand kit, which you see over here on the left-hand side, Alan's personal brand. Follow the rules, don't break them. That's my job as creative.
And as Alan and I designed this, because we started from this template, which was just an Adobe Express template that we found. I typed in business post or business
Genius.
content, and I swapped in Alan's photo, of course. He wasn't in Adobe stock, we checked, but we just applied his brand and his colors to this document.
It looks
and we went
so
from
good.
this poster, which was already kind of close in the blues,
Yeah.
but we made sure it was precise. And now it is his font that you've put in there. I like how you had it sorted out as header and body font, made it very easy for me, someone who understands the social media side of things, but is not someone who's able to design as well. It was easy for me to follow because I knew which ones to use, which assets, which colors, and it was pretty good to go from there.
I mean, to be honest, your job as marketer is not really to design. You need to be given the parameters, the rules, the guidelines, the sandbox to play in. My job as a creative is to say, here's how things need to look. Here are the brand rules. Here's the sandbox, now play in it. Your job as marketer is to get to market as quick as possible.
Yes, yeah.
And so what we're able to do in Express, friends, you can do so much faster than in a lot of other places. It doesn't mean we're not going to hop into Photoshop and do some retouching. It doesn't mean we're going to hop into Illustrator and InDesign and continue to create some of those assets for print and for digital. Express isn't replacing those, but think of Express as like your hub, your centralized creative hub, where basically the meeting point between all these different things, and you can move fast. And we're going to move fast today.
So we're going to make a template for Alan here, right?
Love it.
Because him and I started, but the idea we're doing here with a lockable template is we want him to be able to fill in the text, right? Because he's the expert in that area. I'm not the expert. As we learned in our last session, I was trying to write stuff on the spot, which rewrite is quite helpful, I will add.
is.
But we want to give him that freedom to do that, but not too much freedom where he can delete stuff and change stuff. So that's where these templates really shine.
Yeah.
Why don't we convert this into a simple carousel template?
Love it.
This is where the title would go here, right? So I might put title hook. You can literally give the instructions. Title hook goes here. Let's do all caps. So he knows as he's filling it out, okay, that's all that's going there, right? Let's shrink that down a little bit. Secondary hook goes here.
You did a great job. The branding police is quite pleased with your design.
On to the next one. Again, I like the carousel post. I just said this, but the magic of the carousel post is if someone doesn't like, someone swipes past this first slide, Instagram will show them the post another time, gives it a second chance, starting with this slide. So we'll put again, second hook goes here. Let's maybe bring that down a little bit.
And the second hook, like, how would you describe this as it kind of different from the first one?
I like the second hook as a question that builds on the first hook. So
interesting.
Let's say this first one, I'm going to speak from my own expertise here. I might make,
Please do. You're the one with hundreds of thousands of followers, Lucas.
I'll speak to a topic I would do is maybe I'll put, how to plan a whole month of content, right? That's actually a post that whenever I talk about that topic, it does very well on Instagram. So clearly people need that. And our last, we're hopping on social media makeover today.
Yes.
And we're going to be sharing how to really dive into so many endless content ideas. But when I talk about how to plan a month of content, that's what would go here.
Yeah.
My second post would be something, I like a short question that's relatable and speaks to the reader. That maybe be something like, content creation got you down, keep scrolling, right? If you're stuck, keep scrolling because we're going to help you solve that problem.
Literally give people a reason to keep scrolling. And I love that you actually say it like, do it. Keep scrolling.
Question.
If you see me smiling, it's because I see Katrina, our Express Evangelist superstar, in the chat. We have Francisco. Oh my God, we got Cody Bear. We got all these. I'm sorry, I didn't actually say hi to the chat, so I'm now making up for lost time. We've got Kane, we've got Yusuf. Oh, we got the whole crew. We're so happy you guys are here. I honestly have been so excited about today. Not only am I jet lagged from 3 weeks in Japan, but I was just awake all night with pure enthusiasm because I knew how much fun we would have today. And not just like fun, but also we would be very productive. You know what I'll say while you're updating this?
That's what makes us a productive team, by the way.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Like, some of the features that people might normally sleep on in Express, I mean, we have a lot of new features in Express. It feels like they're popping up all the time. Fresh off of Max London last week, there's all kinds of new ones that we're sprinkling in throughout our stream today. But some of the ones that people might sleep on are some of the most important features for small business and for enterprise. Things like template locking, lock an element like a logo. Actually, maybe I'll put myself to work here and add one of Alan's logos.
Sweet. I'm actually just doing this is the call to action slide.
Okay.
So I was just showing what I was just doing is I like to sandwich my content. So when I'm doing a carousel, my intro slide, which is right here, and I'm going to switch to what I currently have as my end slide, and they're identical, so it looks like nothing changed. But that's the point, is we're going to obviously change it and add our own subtle tweaks here. But I like to start and finish the post with two very similar pieces of content. So all I did was I duplicated the front slide that we made. Obviously, we're going to change up things like the image, so we'll move that. We don't need a secondary hook, but we can put call to action goes here instead of.
We love a good little duplication moment. What I was saying was that some of the features that I think people might sleep on in Express are some of the most important ones for business, such as template locking.
Yes.
So if you are working on your own designs and you're comfortable and confident as a creative, you might not need to lock an element because you're in full control. But the second you hand this over to a client, that's where you want to lock these elements down, because maybe not even intentionally, they might move it by accident and there's all your hard work gone. So elements like a logo or a logo mark, which I just popped over here from our
Maybe we should
brand
switch to,
kit.
why don't we switch to your screen then?
We can,
we'll
sure.
show off what
yeah,
you're doing.
It's basically, see, it's basically the same.
There I am.
Yep, so yeah, I know, you see our little cursors.
I have too much fun with this.
So I just brought this. Let me actually unlock so you can see that that's possible. I'm going to delete that. We'll click logos here, and I'm just going to drag this over again. We've got multiple logo versions. Whenever I'm designing a brand for a client, it's never just like one logo, one and done. It's always a logo system. So if we go back over here, you'll see the different logo variations. We've got centered. We've got left justified, good for email signature. The centered orientation is good for websites. The stamp or seal version, that's one of my favorites.
I like
it's
that one.
kind of a Phil Pallen signature. We actually use those for embossers, website footers, stamps, anything like that. You can get creative with it. And then I always love when there's already like a lot going on a design, I'll typically just pop that little mark there. You don't, by the way, need to like put your logo plastered on every single page, on every single design. It's 2025. And so that kind of feels like a commercial.
Fair, yeah. And we
Like-
spoke about that. You don't want it to seem like an ad.
We don't want it to seem like an ad unless it is an ad. But like, we get it, I'm like I love branding, but you don't need to overdo it. So a lot of times I'll just pop in this kind of like little element here, but then I don't want my client or anyone else who's using this template. It might be someone that I don't even know. 'Cause
Right.
If I hand this over to the client in Express, they've now got the ability to hand this off to someone else that might be working on their team. They hire to help with social media content. Someone like Alan is really busy, so he's going to need to lean on hired help for that. So what I would do is I would click the 3 dots, okay? And what we're going to show right now is lock.
Oh, I moved the wrong way.
And all, don't worry, I know, it's kind of like reversed. What that's going to do is it's going to just keep that in place, but fret not. If you need to unlock it, click on the element and select that little lock sign, and that's going to unlock it. People sometimes ask me, Phil, what is like an Adobe Express enterprise or like business account? How is that different from a normal Adobe Express user account?
Okay.
The answer is not very satisfying because in a normal account, you see everything. But companies have the ability, if they're on a company license, they have the ability to turn things off. So
Oh,
you can
wow.
actually see less. So you might not see the media tab over here on the left. You might not see templates if a company has turned off access to those things. Every company's like a little bit different. And so point being, you can kind of create the right organization and structure for basically what you're designing. I would say for the purpose of today, being able to lock this element into place is super, super helpful so it doesn't get moved by accident. I'm actually going to drag this back right there before it jumps to a single line. And then I'm going to show you the second version of locking. Again, these are features that...
There we go.
You're too tall, Lucas. These are features, if I zoom in a little bit. Does that help? No, it didn't move the menu. There we go. Okay, you're just gonna have to duck. That's good. These are features that people might sleep on or might not even notice that they're there, which is why we're pointing them out today. They're especially helpful for business. Lock and allow replace.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that's exactly as it sounds, right? What it does.
It's exactly as it sounds. So notice that that box that I just adjusted stays in place, and it's gray, which means it can't be changed. But what we can do is we can select this little pen over here where you added the CTA, goes here, and we can adjust the text like this, okay? And so what does this mean? You can't replace, well, it depends on, let me show you this. It depends what the edit replace settings are. So check this out, behavior, okay? You can limit to the text box, which is what I've drawn, or you can allow any length, which means you have the ability to adjust that size.
But the width margins of the text box stay the same, is what
Yes.
it looks like. So
Yes.
just so they're not, as someone who may not be design oriented hopping into this, they might accidentally, go across the screen. So it's nice that you're holding their hand, even though you're not actually in the project with them.
So for an Instagram carousel, which is what we're creating, I think the allow any length would be the right choice. If this is a presentation slide, and it's like, well, how could you turn this into a presentation slide? Well, let me show you in 2.5 seconds. We click resize. We can scroll through here and find the right size that we want, or if you know it off by heart like me because you're kind of nerdy, that's okay. The slide size would be same as like a horizontal video. We would go duplicate and resize. It's going to use Generative Expand, which I had clicked, I had that enabled. It's going to use AI to expand this in a natural way beyond the confines of what we created. Let's say it's stock photos or whatever is in place. Okay. We didn't have any stock photos, so I'm going to go back. I don't really need Generative Expand in this particular case. Let me just do that.
I've used it in situations where I did after Adobe Max in Miami, I did a travel carousel.
Perfect.
And I expanded it, and it was a very slim image, and I expanded it with the Miami side of the beach or the city there, and it expanded it with all the buildings and added in trees. In that case, it was very useful. So usually if you're going from a more thin project to a more wider project, it'll really help fill in those blanks.
Absolutely. So there's a few little elements here that I might delete, etc. I just wanted to show you, literally single click, duplicate, resize, and then make your final adjustments to the design. Sometimes even just doing this, I might go, it's not quite right. So I might start from an Express template, a presentation template. Some of my very favorite templates in Express are presentations.
Yeah, me too.
I love them. Their presentation templates are so good. I just want to point out one more thing, and then I won't take us off track. When you click File, if you're working in a project type that's not a presentation, but you decide you want to turn it into a presentation, the brand guidelines document that I showed earlier was just a normal Express template. I converted that to a presentation. I'm just going to show you, and then I'll convert it back. What that does is it gives you the presentation.
Oh, that's awesome. So you can quickly show it.
Corner.
Very nice. See,
exactly.
I said this earlier I was saying, Alan's going to learn some things today, but the audience is going to learn some things.
Yeah.
I'm learning some things by working with you because you know so many ins and outs of Adobe Express.
Well, I learn it by doing, and also I don't know everything, but that's kind of the fun of this.
Yes.
Is you learn by doing, and the fact that you hop in here and you start with something. I'm just going to click delete on this. Wait, did I duplicate the one?
You might have changed the whole document. That's okay.
Crap, I just messed everything up.
When you went back to do the take off the expand, I think you did the whole document.
So I just came in and messed up all your stuff.
1350.
1350. Yeah. You're like, I know how this works. Okay, so I'm just gonna, oh God, I've totally messed it up. I was like, here, look at this quick thing. And then Phil comes in like a bulldozer, a bull in a china shop, and just messes everything up. But we'll get it.
But it also shows it'll be very easy to quickly change things and scoot them back.
Okay, I'm gonna just fix my mess. You're gonna shout at me.
We're gonna collaboratively. I'm gonna fix the other ones in the meantime.
Okay. Also, wait. No, there's a way we can fix this.
Oh, okay.
There's another way we can fix this, and then this might be another thing that you might learn. So, friends,
this isn't scripted. We promise.
It's not
scripted.
When Phil comes in and starts clicking things and takes the demo off track, always remember we can click that File menu and go to Show Version History. Okay, so if you've messed things up, fret not, because we can look at our history. Let's go back to what time was it normal? Probably
like 11:11.
11:11. Make a wish.
Oh, very cool.
So if you've royally messed up your template like I have live, not following the script, look.
And then go to slide 2 should be good.
We can go back.
Yep, there we go.
And resume as normal. So I messed it up, but I still managed to save it.
And it's nice that it made it a new file too, in case you want to have both. You're not forcing it back. You can always go back and forth and see what you like from each one. Yes. I really like that, to have those options.
Okay, I'm now gonna pass the baton back to you and stop messing things up if you want to finish this carousel.
No, that is okay. So we had first point goes here. Oh, I'm on the. Oh, share that new one to me.
Sorry.
Share
the new one. Sorry. Here,
so because it made a copy, Phil's gonna quickly share that to me, and then I'll be able to use it.
Yep. Literally in an instant. So added Lucas's email address. On the share settings, you have a few things beyond just adding an email address. So boom.
Right away.
Just
2 seconds ago.
We could make this a template. We can share it out as a link. You can share it out as a view only. Maybe if you refresh, that should work.
Yeah.
As a view only link in the browser. What that means is someone doesn't actually need an Express account to be able to view it. So basically, you've got options. If you are collaborating, in this case, then it makes sense to add an email address.
It does.
And work together on that.
Let's check on
see it?
yours. Yeah.
Okay. It should be if you click that little notification.
I think my
sign in
Wi-Fi is
the
a little
corner.
spotty right now.
Oh, is it being spotty?
There we go.
Okay.
I'm in. It worked.
Beauty.
Okay, so what we were just doing, we had the hooks, we had first point, we had second point. So you picked the right version, which is good. You went back to the right version. Let's just add that quick call to action slide. That was the one we were just in the middle of putting.
There's nothing like going totally off course during a live demo to keep things fresh and exciting, right?
That's what makes it fun.
We're not used to being together in real life. You are usually hopping into the stream from Toronto. I live in Florida, Canadian like you. But it's fun to be here together in real life. Look at you adding those branding elements
Look
like
at
some
that.
kind of expert.
How easy was that? And I didn't need to have them saved anywhere because they're all in the brand, which is very nice. Okay, so this would be our template that we would feel good about giving to Alan. We could share it as a template in the brand that we've built out for him. So again, he just needs to click on that and create projects from it. But what we have here is a carousel post. I like to zoom out and take that look. It's a carousel post that I would feel comfortable giving to him to create content from.
Or give to his team to be able to add
exactly.
that text and do it quickly, not have to worry about the design.
It's very straightforward in how someone needs to approach the project and dive into it. We could easily have this be a LinkedIn post. We can have it be an Instagram carousel. And yeah, this I would feel quite good about ending it here and having it ready for him to go.
Beautiful. And click that share button up in the top right corner, just as we were mentioning. So if you are going to schedule this for Alan, let's say you've got the copy and you're working and helping him with social media content, you can schedule this to his shared calendar, which we've already talked about. For LinkedIn, if we were to post this, how the format for a carousel on LinkedIn is PDF.
Yeah,
Is that
so
right?
so this is a little tip I like to share. If you are going to have your post be on LinkedIn, you can post it as photos. Let me just delete this one first because that might get mixed in. But you can have it as photos and it will show up almost like an old school Facebook album where you just see them all individually. But my favorite little hack for LinkedIn content, which I feel people need because LinkedIn is still a little bit unexplored when it comes to social media, even though they do have a short form video feed of their own these days, is to have it as a PDF. And if you download your LinkedIn content as a PDF and share it as not photos on LinkedIn, but as a file, you will give that access to your audience to be able to swipe through it just like it's a swipe deck. So that is my favorite way to share a document like this on a platform like LinkedIn. As we know, there's going to be subtle nuances to apply to. I'm sure we'll get to those in our social media makeover episode today, where we talk about repurposing endless content. But know those small little changes to make from one platform to the next, and you can make one post usable on 3, 4, 5 different platforms, which is kind of a must nowadays with how many different social media platforms are out there.
Good point to know, though, because you might automatically assume if it's your post, your first post, well, it's an image on Instagram, so why wouldn't it be images on LinkedIn? LinkedIn is always like a little bit behind. They're always like a little behind, but we kind of love that, don't we? Because I feel like Meta has like messed up with algorithms and feeds. I kind of like that LinkedIn is still like the traditional news feed.
I do too. It is.
I like it. I've like fallen more in love with LinkedIn in the last like 6 months, more so than ever. I used to not like it, but actually I really enjoy it.
It is. I'm finding myself on there more. The notifications are great. I can see when other people are engaging in my industry or my network, I guess. Another thing too, this is a 6-slide carousel. I'm pretty sure LinkedIn has a much greater maximum in terms of your slides you can put. I think it's like double digits. Instagram is now maxed out at 20. So if you keep under 20, you're probably in that good sweet spot of being able to be used on both platforms. I don't see more than 20 really working that well on Instagram. And probably not LinkedIn either unless it's a super comprehensive document.
Just because you can post 20 pages doesn't mean you should.
But if I did want to, the great thing about this template is we would just keep duplicating the page.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about keeping it. You don't have to make it groundbreaking on every slide, right? One thing I will do, that's why I love seeing this viewed out look, by the way, is let's say I am making it like a 4-slide post. And I'm thinking, you know what, people might get sick of seeing the same thing. You can very easily duplicate a page. This is now becoming my 4th point, right? So 4th point goes here. And maybe I'm gonna like invert the colors, right? So maybe this will be switched over to like that nice navy color, and instead the background is going to be this, right? Doing something like that, and I'll show why that helps, is because if I zoom out, you're gonna see Phil working on a project there. I love how updated the like live is right here that we're doing this. But as you can see, I like how it's a bit of a pattern break, right? Maybe if I were to actually make my 2nd slide this pattern break. So it's going 1st point, I would change that to say 2nd point, 3rd point, 4th point. It just keeps the audience, keeps it fresh and new for your audience. So it's not just gonna be the same thing swiping through. Small little tips that make a big difference. You'd be surprised how much it helps.
Yeah, you do such a good job of that without overthinking. I'm always so focused on YouTube that I sometimes like don't get to my to-do list item, which is post on Instagram. That's like, is it okay to still have a New Year's resolution halfway into the year?
I think so.
I'm like, I've got YouTube on lockdown. I never miss a week. Knock on wood. I hope this is wood. But Instagram I struggle a little bit more with. But it's just a matter of priorities, right? You prioritize Instagram. That's your primary platform. Someone like Alan mentioned, like he's got a limited amount of time. So it's just a matter of making priorities. Friends, can I tell you something? You don't need to be on every social media platform. You don't need to be on every single social media platform. Chances are you've got to run a business, or you've got a job, or you've got a career, or you also have things you want to do outside of work, and you don't want to spend all the time creating content. Certainly a platform like Express is going to make it easy to show up in multiple platforms. Really think about not just where is my audience, but where do I enjoy creating? When someone's like, Phil, which social media platform should I be active on? My business and my brand is blah, blah, blah. I usually say, what social media platform do you open when you're in line at the grocery store?
Because you're going to know those nuances. You're
exactly.
going to know
it's
that
a platform that you enjoy creating on.
Yeah.
I think you're really good to speak to this kind of like, you know, by around slide 4, this is where you want to keep people's attention. And I like earlier how you mentioned like, literally tell people keep swiping.
Yeah.
Go and take this action. Like be specific about what you want them to do.
Sometimes what people will do is they'll add like an arrow, right?
Yep.
Got my caps still on here. Choose from any. There's tons of arrows for you to choose from. These seem to do really well. I like these little ones here, right? Go ahead, pop one of those in there. And where's my flip? You can flip it around. Oop. And then that is all of a sudden telling people the direction that you want them to swipe in, which is very cool. Put it up there so it's not going to like impose on the overall project. Put that on your documents. There we go. Change the color of that one. And now if I, again, you can kind of see it. Look, it's guiding them through the post.
Smart.
Right? So something simple like that really does help human behavior. Like it sounds ridiculous sometimes. When Alan and I were talking about, we had a great question in the chat about the difference between a hook for a video that happens within the first 2 seconds and a hook that happens within the first 5 seconds. And 2 seconds, even though it's so small in everyday terms, is a lifetime. It's much faster than 5 seconds in social media. So again, experiment, try things out. I like what Phil said about in the same way, you don't have to be on all platforms at once.
Yeah.
All the tips we're sharing that hopefully you're taking notes about, you don't have to apply all the tips at once, right? That's gonna be overwhelming. Pick even one thing you're learning today, especially if you're hanging out with us all day, and apply it to your post and see how it helps.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying this to the individuals, so the CEOs like Alan, but also their teams. We're talking specifically to teams and to clients. In my case, running a branding agency, I've got a handful of clients. It's one thing to get hired to design a brand, but really the work begins when I finish the project.
Yes, yeah.
Hand it off, and then it's the client's responsibility to stay on brand and to create within those confines that we create. So this is looking great. You'll notice I added a little photo of Alan at the end. I'm hoping now to win some points with Lucas and redeem myself from royally messing up the template. Thank you, version history. Thank you for saving the day. But I thought, Lucas, since this is like, we're learning things today.
Yeah.
Version history, template locking. What about hopping over into some of our other Adobe apps, creative tools? You admitted to me before we went live today that when you hop into Photoshop, we can actually share my screen. We'll hop over. So I've opened Photoshop. You open Photoshop and you're kind of like, what do I click on first? Is that true?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So I will admit that I'm completely self-taught in Photoshop. Dear friends like sweet Anna McNaught, who, by the way, was my friend as of 10 years ago, way pre-Adobe for both of us. I've learned from people like Anna and all kinds of Justin Oshido, I think of for Premiere. So many of our friends in our Adobe family are people that I had learned from over the years. I'm not a super pro in Photoshop, but I'm really excited by the integrations, typically AI powered, so powered by Adobe Firefly, which is Adobe's generative AI engine, and features that you'll see pop up in tools like Express, Photoshop, Illustrator, and more. I'm excited about how AI is democratizing some of this.
Yes.
So Lucas, you can hop in here. Here's a photo of Alan that we've got open. I am not a retouching expert. I own a branding agency, but I work with creative to get the job done. So a lot of times my job is to sit between the creative and the client. Right. Of course, I can do some basic things. So let's click on the lasso tool, and I look at a photo like this right away and think, years ago, this photo is probably 4 years old. There might be some things in here that I left because if I'm on a budget or I don't have a retoucher or I'm on a timeline, we may not have worried about some of these small details. I still think I probably would have edited it out that court because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. But Lucas, I want to show you
It's also a tripping hazard.
It's also a tripping hazard. I want to show you how tools like Generative Fill are enabling people that might open Photoshop and not really know what to do. It's enabling you, it's giving you the ability to do some of these simple actions. So literally the outlet, again, years ago, I might not have worried about that, right. But now knowing how quickly I can remove it. Obviously we can do this in Express and we'll do a few of these over in Express. I wanna showcase both, but here, literally highlight the area. I find the smallest you can keep the area, the better if you're trying to remove it. So I wouldn't select the outlet and then the cord all together. I might just do it piece by piece. The prompt that you enter is optional in Photoshop. So it's gonna use, it's kind of like reasoning by leaving it empty to kind of understand that you're trying to remove that.
Oh, wow.
Right, and remember with Firefly, I think I missed a little section there. So you can literally, you don't need to be a pro, Lucas, to be able to do these simple touch-ups.
I like this approach you said of doing it kind of piece by piece. And it's so quick too that it's not like it's a hassle to do it in thirds, right? It's nice that you're just doing it piece by piece, getting those little touch-ups. And what outlet? I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. And so I'm just kind of going just section by section. Again, I am not a Photoshop expert. I'm self-taught, so I can do a lot of things in Photoshop just over the years, having to figure out how to do some basic retouching. Client will ask for a request, post it goes out on social media, you get the idea. I guess the point that I'm making now in just a few minutes we have, it's now easier than ever before to use some of these pro tools in conjunction with Adobe Express. Okay, so last update I'm gonna make is this TV has a lot of glare on it. So I'm just gonna highlight this area. It doesn't have to be absolutely precise. I'm gonna click Generative Fill. Sometimes in a bigger space like this, it works and it doesn't work. I generally find the smaller you can make it, the better, but let's just see what we come up with. Give it a few seconds.
It'd be even better if there was a reflection of the photographer in there.
That would be good. Imagine if your face just appeared. You're tricked. So not all of these are gonna make sense. Again, it's AI. You can click Generate More.
Yep.
I think I had kind of a pre-baked version here. I'm just gonna turn off these layers. I knew that we would be doing this just for a few minutes. So there we go. I spent about 5 minutes on that. I'm gonna click Save. This is a linked asset. So creative pros, creatives, anyone who's working in Illustrator, Photoshop, think about the fact that you're already saving a lot of your projects to the cloud. What we can do in Express is push through updates live by using a linked asset. Where do I get the linked asset from? I'm going to show you. Over here in your stuff, under files, you're going to see, there we go. Thanks for moving us around, Jacob. You're going to see everything that you've been working on recently, including Express files, including, InDesign.
Yeah, and you can see the logos too. I saw there was the Photoshop logo, which is nice.
Thank you for pointing that out. So right there, see that little Photoshop icon? This is a linked asset that is before the touch-ups we just did in 5 minutes. I'm going to single click and update that linked asset. And that's going to push through our very quick and dirty retouching in Photoshop. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that this is going to replace the work that a professional retoucher can do. In the same way that Logo Maker in Express is not going to replace the work that I do with Alan over the course of 6 months to build a comprehensive brand identity. But what I am pointing out is that AI, and specifically Adobe Firefly, which is commercially safe, it's incredibly powerful, this is really paving the way for you to be able to hop into a pro tool and play and experiment and see what you can create and succeed and fail and learn. And so I'm very excited now for you to know and feel at least kind of safe in
I think
Photoshop.
so. Yeah, those are tools that I can use, and I love how I didn't even have to go anywhere to see how the asset had linked. There was that notification right at the bottom, saying updates have been made. I see even I know we won't do it, but I see on the left there it says open in Photoshop. I can quickly you could quickly hop over there and work on it in there. Yeah. It's very nice.
Photoshop, which I've obviously got installed, Photoshop on the web, so you've got options. Just want to kind of point that out so you know. If this was an image that we imported into Express or we pulled from a brand, we'd also have the option to add or remove objects. So if you're watching this and going, well, I don't have Photoshop, or I want to be able to do that directly in Express, you can. Add and remove are separate features in Express that operate. They utilize generative fill technology. So you can do all of that in Express. I just wanted to mention that, okay? Did I redeem myself?
You did. That's awesome.
So another business feature that I want to show. So we're showing kind of cross-compatibility with tools like Photoshop with InDesign is another one. So start from your own content. This, I believe, was announced at Max last year. We designed, let me show them to you. We designed business cards for Alan in InDesign, okay? So check this out, just a few different options. My designer would work on this and then we would send that out to him for approval. But let's say Alan's team wanted to be able to make an update directly in Express. You can import this directly into Express from that start from your own content. This is an InDesign file, not a PDF. It's going to do the magic to convert this so that then we can do those basic edits. Okay, just in case you want. So you can import PDF, you can import PowerPoint. We showed that earlier. You can import InDesign. It's just so awesome that, again, you can be using Express. I mean, perfect. You can be using Express to do some of these quick little updates. And let's say, Lucas, that you and I are working together as a team. We could highlight that text layer. I could click commenting here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go, where are you? Do I have you? Oh, no, I don't have you on this document yet. But let me just actually add you really quickly.
Yeah, go ahead and share it to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get that notification in 2 seconds.
I'm hoping that in this hour, people are going, oh, I didn't know about that.
I got it. That was so fast.
Perfect. So, and then I should be able to, there we are.
Yep.
So, is this approved? And then, since I'm trying to win points with you, I'm going to add an emoji, just like that. And what I love is I can click this pin.
Yes, I love the pinning too.
And we can do our whole layer of approvals directly in Express. You don't need to use a separate tool like Slack or even worse, by email. Oh, you can do this all directly in Express. You could be sharing this out with your client. They can have view-only permissions instead of editing functionality. If Lucas and I are working together, creative marketer, maybe I want his input or I want him to just view it. Again, friends, this stuff seems not exciting, but actually in the context of business, some of these features are some of the most exciting things for businesses. And that's why we're spending some time on it today. We can go ahead and have this whole conversation and dialogue here. He approves it. Fantastic. Then we might go ahead and download this, etc. I want to hear from people in the chat. Katrina is blowing up the chat. We appreciate that, Katrina. Control Z or Control Z. Canadians
Z over
pronounce
here, yes.
Z, yes. You're bringing out my Canadian accent. Katrina says, I will use all 20 pages, Sonny, all 20 pages. Generative fill, more like generative fill. Get it? Expand is so great. Axel, oh yeah, okay, great. What use have you of InCopy? Can you use it in Express? I'm not totally sure what that question is, but if you want to clarify, we might be able to help you out. I want to show you one more feature that's very important for business, and I'm watching the clock because we don't have a ton of time, but I'm going to challenge myself to get it done in this amount of time.
Well, and that's what scaling is all about, right?
Correct.
Is scaling, getting a lot in a short amount of time.
So I'm going to go medical, and I'm going to look through templates that we're going to start from scratch. I'm going to find one.
I love the stock photo pose, though.
Yes. So what I want to show you actually, I've got one kind of on hand, like here. That's just pure template that I'm starting from. What I'd really like to show you is how to use bulk create. You may have seen it right up here. Oops, right up here, bulk create. You've seen it, but you're like, what the heck does that do? I want to show you, because this for business means that we can start with a single design and we can create up to 100 variations in minutes. I'm going to show you how this works. Pure template, so let's actually modify this. I have just some text that we can work from really quickly. The first is a CSV file, a very basic spreadsheet with a few columns: address, doctor name, appointment time, tagline. We may not use all of these right now, but let's see. Let's just see. And then I knew we'd be short on time because I like to talk, especially when it's the two of us together. I had this prepared. So
nice.
Tagline and then this. So there's the tagline. I'm going to adjust this template text. What's really important for bulk create is that the text fields that have the variations be separate. Otherwise it won't work. So.
Because I guess it's going to fill in and populate those is what's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. And then what you want to do is we don't know how long that doctor's name is. So we're going to want to give some extra space there in case it's a long one. It probably doesn't need to be that long, but you get the idea. Yep. Again, here I'm probably going to go a little bit longer. And what we're doing is we're basically quickly creating a template where we're going to use bulk create to showcase this. Now, the reason this is so powerful is like to think about personalization at scale. It sounds expensive, and it usually is expensive for companies to be able to facilitate this. Here's the logo, so you know what we would do to that. We
I see
lock that.
Bree's already saying it's exciting.
It is really exciting.
I'm excited. Hopefully you can tell. I'm excited to see this.
So what we're going to do is we're going to click bulk create, and I think we have enough fields to at least do my demo here. Bulk create, and then that CSV file, okay, very basic spreadsheet. I'm going to go ahead and upload that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the text layer that I'm wanting to generate variations of. So select the layer first, then connect the element. Then we click the drop down and choose what it is. I was very tempted to like have this all ready to go to show quickly, but I thought, no, it's actually really important to walk through the entire process. So doctor name. The doctor name is going to depend.
That's going to change, yeah.
Yeah, that's a variable. So choose doctor name, okay? I'm good with that for this first demo. So then I'm going to click next. And so what it did, I probably have to, here, I'm going to create these 3 pages. This is, I might just kind of move that out of the way. But instead of having to design these from scratch, you are now looking at variations that were generated from a spreadsheet. I don't want to scare you.
Look at all these
I don't like
names.
spreadsheets. But the spreadsheet is purely just to get the information and to not have to do this manually. How cool is that?
That is like, I like how, and it's custom. It's not just cool, right? It's custom, which is so important. Not just, we've spoken a lot about how having custom content for each of the platforms you use is important, but let's take it back to human, having custom content for the people you work with or the people in your organization is a must. And that makes it very easy for one person to do it, which is what we want to see with scaling.
But wait, there's more. So we showed you bulk create in the context of text variations. I've gone back, I've uploaded the same CSV file, okay? I've selected the image layer, which is a PNG in this case, and I'm gonna click next. And then we're gonna go here, add multiple assets. So when we click assets, here I can upload variations, which I've got, I'll just add a few more, which I've got ready to go. Or we click this plus sign and we can leverage brands, libraries, stock photos, any of these different places in which I might find the content. So we are going to pop in these images on these variations. Here, let me get this. There we go.
I see it looks like it's applying like the filter you had too, right?
It
Like
is.
you had it in like a more grayed out.
Exactly. It's like a
Wow.
black and white kind of layer. So it retains that from the template. I can then go ahead and click and create those variations. And so remember, we started with one single template and we now have almost 10 from a spreadsheet. And friends, this isn't like an advanced thing. Let me literally show you the spreadsheet again. It's literally just a few columns and a few rows of variations. In fact, you don't even necessarily need to use all of them. I try to keep this as simple as possible so that you can think about this like, I don't know, wedding invites. That's not really a business context, but like personalization for postcards, appointment times, letting people know about an upcoming workshop, direct mail, digital assets. You could be emailing these in the body of an email. You can be posting these variations on social media. What if we want to translate them into different languages? I think that goes hand in hand with bulk create. So just in our final few moments of talking about scale, clients, teams, let's select this. And then let's do French since Canadian here. And then let's do German. So multiple languages we can translate in at once. The default will be translate all pages. But what I can do here is let's go to page 4, which is the one I'm working from. If I don't want to, for example, translate the website address, that wouldn't make sense. I'll leave that unchecked. But let's say we want to just translate those two fields. We're obviously not going to translate the doctor's name. So I'm going to just leave it at that. And then I'm going to go back and click translate. And this will take just a few seconds. Translation in Express has gotten better recently. It's better with contextual translation, something I talked about recently in a YouTube video. So it's gonna do a better job of understanding what the context is for your post. So again, I might wanna make a few of these little adjustments just before we go to print. Since this is a postcard, we might click up here, enable margins and bleed, which is specifically for print projects. That means it's gonna print when we send it to the printer, it's gonna print right to the edges. And just like that, I mean, we had it done in a second. Always a good idea to have a human read over your translations. I don't speak German.
Do you want me to check the French with my grade 8 level French that I took 20 years ago?
Yeah, I would love that because mine is about the same as you. I'm not proud of it, but better than nothing. You can use it when you go on like trips to France. You're like, oh wow, I know how to say the very simple things.
What Bree said correctly, spirit fingers. Spirit fingers is absolutely right.
So friends, these are like some features that we've talked about in the last hour that has gone by very quickly that I think are sometimes seemingly less exciting, but in the context of small business, in the context of scale, these are so important.
Yeah.
Generative Expand, bulk create, templatizing, locking features, locking and allowing replace. This can set you up for success for your clients, for you as the person that's being hired to facilitate this. There's just so many uses for this. And even, I think I would also add, leveraging the assets that you're already creating in some of the more advanced platforms like Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator. I don't know if you have anything else to say on that.
No, but I'm excited for what's coming up next because we have, you're going to teach Alan to use Adobe Express.
Our little schedule right there.
Express together, hopefully with anybody in the audience as well. And then we're right back here for Social Media Makeover.
Oh my God, it's just so exciting.
Content.
It's endless, but it's so good. Yes, I knew that we would arrive at this point in the show and still have lots on our to-do list. So don't go anywhere. That includes you, chat, people hanging out with us or watching the replay. You get a little break. Alan's gonna be back in here. I'm gonna finish what we've started and then roll right into our final show, which is Social Media Makeover, which will be on a separate stream. So stay with us. That's the moral of the story. We'll be back here in a few minutes to keep working, chugging along. So we'll see you then.
We are looking at how to develop and make your brand stand out on social media. My friend VJ and I, we recently launched a podcast together. It is called Creator Juice. If I were to put in like an example of our podcast art. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make this a square. I'm gonna go ahead and let's pop me in there.
Nice,
there I
look
go.
at you.
Let's get our avatar of Vishal in there too. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make a duplicate of myself and VJ. So I'm just doing Command C, Command V. This is my favorite effect to do. You just double yourself, double the image with a transparent background. On the back layer, I'm gonna go to these effects. And now I have like a little glowing power up aura to me. So I'm doing the same for VJ's avatar. So I'm gonna go ahead, let's just save it to my downloads. I actually just designed this to be my reference and that's all I want from it. I'm gonna make a new page, but I want it to be 1080 by 1350.
There you go.
So I'm gonna go to the opening here of Firefly. I'm gonna go for a 16-bit video game upgrade disc. And that's where style match comes in key. Because remember that image I did earlier, podcast cover? All I did was I clicked upload your image. It's gonna check that I can use it. And look at it now in the bottom, it's right here. Now that I have my style reference in Firefly, I'm gonna click generate. And there's the world I was looking for. What I can do here is I can download it.
Incredible.
So I have the your stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pop my avatar back in there. I'm gonna get VJ's avatar. And again, this is preloaded into our brand in Adobe Express. Yeah, the little link, that means it's a linked asset and it says right here, linked asset.
Love it.
That means that if, VJ creates this in Photoshop and it's linked, if he is at his computer and I say, hey, I need you to be wearing a blue shirt, he can go and just change the shirt to blue.
Nice. And it'll
Save it.
change.
It'll tell me, hey, there's an update. Do you want to allow it? And his shirt will turn blue. Real quick, just to get us up to speed, applying the duotone effects. Go back to Firefly. So what I'm doing is I'm generating a video game disc. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some style match again. Our little pixel dog pal. And I'm gonna use the dog as the reference because I don't want as much noise because this is just gonna be a floating element.
Totally.
And that's exactly what I wanted.
Same
So I'm gonna go ahead and download. So I'm gonna drag that in here.
Rowan is here.
My favorite Adobe Express tool is remove background.
It's the best thing since
again
sliced
and again
bread.
and again. It really is. So this disc we're gonna put here. What I'm gonna do is make the background just dark. But now if I just directly change the opacity of the image, the background's coming through. So I'll lock that. You can see the title a bit more. That's coming through. So what I want is a big play button. New episode. We're gonna just go to our shape for our text. And this one right here, there's so many options. Change the color to this nice retro bright pink we're using for our video game power-ups here. So now I have this nice text box here that it's not two elements, it's just a shape around it. I think we are good to add some fun animations. I got me, VJ, I got our power-up shadows here, and I want the title. I want all of that. I'm gonna use an in animation. So I'm gonna use in, and I love pop is my favorite animation in Adobe
Oh, yeah.
Express. So we're gonna animate the new episode button with just a looping. I don't want it to pop in. I want it to just be blinking. I'm gonna have the CD selected. I'm gonna go to animation. I want this looping. So I'm gonna go ahead and spin. There it is already. Let's make it a story, right? Because we love stories.
Look at that quick resize.
And I just have to make some slight variations,
Look at
right?
that.
Something that I think we both love is how easy it is
This
to
looks
resize.
so good.
Yeah, I'm loving it. It's fun.
I'm so impressed. Thank you so much, Lucas.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody in the audience.
Thank you for joining us.
Let me just tell you that I'm so happy you're still here hanging out with us, or if you're brand new, welcome. This is Adobe Live. This is my dear friend Alan Friedman. He's a client of mine. We're great friends. We've worked together for years, and it's really bringing me so much joy having you here. The theme is small business, but also large business, business in any kind of context. For years, I've been building brands. We mentioned at the top of the hour, I've designed your personal brand. We've worked together on your company brand. There's really no better platform than Adobe Express that enables someone like me to hand off a brand and say, here you go. Like, have fun creating, right? Here's what it means to stay on brand. And I mentioned at the top of the hour that you are brand new to Adobe Express. Do you feel like you've learned some new stuff today?
Absolutely. I have a list of 7 things already.
That's one of my favorite things today is the fact that we've been live on the air, but you've also been like taking notes like a good student. I see your notes here.
My handwriting is not exactly publishable, but yeah.
It's right on brand. That's typical of like surgeons and doctors, right, Alan?
Yeah.
So of the things you've learned today, what are you most excited about? And before you answer, let's say hi to the chat. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us today. We're now heading into our, I think this is the 3rd hour, or the 1, 2, 3, 4th hour. This is really like where we're gonna pick up where we left off. We're gonna continue creating, but I'm gonna have you actually like put pen to paper, put mouse to Express, etc. Now I'm going to let you answer the question. What are you like most excited about in terms of what you've seen today?
I think there's a few things. If in number one, what I'm most excited about is to take all those videos that we had recorded back in September in Princeton, which frankly I think are well done, but to use Adobe Express to actually create the content that we have already created, so it's already kind of in the can, if you will, but just with one keystroke, I can have all kinds of posts, A, B. I can leverage those clips through the clip creator and incorporate those into presentations. So there's so much, exactly, this is what we're referring to.
Yeah.
So these are great by themselves, but the raw aspect of just the content is reproducible in so many ways. And working with Lucas in terms of, I forget what it was called, the carousel.
Yeah.
Right? So using the carousel, so kind of from a social media presence perspective, if in one social media presence someone swipes the wrong way, again, I'm a neophyte here, but using the carousel approach created through Adobe Express, it actually allows you to get a second kind of opportunity to share your content within that platform. So there's a lot. So I know you asked me for one, but there's a lot.
I am so impressed. You are absorbing this. Not that I'm surprised by that, but I'm really excited by how excited you are. We're going to keep this going along. So what I actually showed on screen is a video that we had filmed together. Yeah. What you don't know is that I actually took the 2 camera portions. We did a little bit of this in Premiere. The majority of the work to prepare this video is actually done in Express, and I'll actually show you. Let me hop over to our Express homepage. And it should be in my recent files. We looked at importing a PowerPoint. We might come back to that here shortly. But all the graphics that I created for that video that we just saw were done in Express. So again, start from a template or build your own template, which is as simple as a text layer on brand. I can double check that by clicking here and see your brand file is ready and available. I can click play. What I've basically done, click that text layer, gone to effects, and added in a basic fade effect. The second you, Alan, take this from a static image and add an animation, that single act turns it into a video, right? Because it's animated. So what that's going to do, 2 things. It's going to give you the timeline at the bottom where we can just kind of click and drag this along and see that in video format. If we wanted to in Express, we can also add audio. So when we click this, it's going to bring us to the media tab, and then audio. Here we can upload an audio file that we may have licensed from Adobe stock. It's also integrated. That's the beauty of Express, maybe different than other browser-based graphic design tools. In Express, you have access to such a wealth and high quality collection of assets, photos, videos, and audio. to name a few. So these you wouldn't even have to separately license. We can just pop in this audio track, and that's going to give us, some audio when we go to download this. By turning this or by adding the animation and turning a static image into a video, it's going to give us the ability to download this as an MP4. Now, I'm going to delete the music track. And what I want to show you is, no, I might not actually delete the music track. I might leave it, but I want to show you, let's say, Alan, you wanted to record a quick little voiceover for this animation, okay? So what we might do is let's add a blank scene. Here, I'm going to add a stock image. We haven't talked a lot about this yet, so let's talk about stock photo and video. I mentioned the integration with Adobe Stock, particularly with a premium plan. By the way, if you have Creative Cloud All Apps, you have Adobe Express Premium already, which means you have access to hundreds of thousands of assets from Adobe Stock directly in Adobe Express. So let's think about a stock video that would represent self-awareness. What could we search? Talk to me about what self-awareness is.
Self-awareness is the understanding of what we refer to as the intrapersonal knowledge, who you really are, not what you project in the world. So understanding who you are as a first step, and then secondly, understanding how other people may take you in. And the third step of that is really about emotional intelligence, which is regulating yourself so that you behave in a way that actually gets you what you want.
So, good explanation, but unfortunately for you, I'm going to make you do it again.
Yeah.
Because I want to show a few. That was a really good explanation, but now we're actually going to capture it.
Okay.
So that explanation gave me the idea that we could hop over to stock, and I looked up the term self-reflection and found just this person in a work outfit who's looking into the mirror thinking.
Yeah.
Your search terms can be literal, so it could be employee, something like that. Or it could be a little more ambiguous, like self-reflection, self-awareness, leadership. Or
I think self-reflection is probably, let's see if what the imagery would...
Yeah, so you can see here, some of these are going to be vertical, which would be good if this was going to be an Instagram story or a LinkedIn video. Even from here, we might like this, and that's going to favorite it so we can find it later.
Okay.
But we could do something like female employee, and that's going to dictate what she's wearing.
Female employee in the mirror.
Yeah, in the mirror, great. In the mirror, sometimes I come to stock and I don't even know what it is I want, so I might just start looking. Or sometimes what I'll do is I'll clear this, and I'll start looking at the categories that it gives, like small business. That makes sense.
Or we could put genuine self. See what comes up.
Genuine self. Let's try it. No, too advanced. You're too smart for this, Alan.
Okay.
You're too smart for this. So maybe this little lap, there's all kinds of things here. I recommend hopping in there and just being open to it. Now, let's say you wanted to create a quick little video from this. I want to show you how you can add a voiceover. So I'm actually going to have you talk. We're going to record a voiceover.
Sure.
Just for the demo, so that when you go to do this in real life, you're going to feel confident in doing it. So in Express, we click Media. Then we click Record Voiceover, which is under the Audio tab. Clicking it, it's going to find the microphone. We can enable, this is a brand new feature and I'm really excited about it. Enhance Speech is specifically for spoken word. I've tested it and it works amazingly. So if we're in a room, Alan, where let's say we're outside, you're commuting to work, there's an audience, there's a crowd, particularly if the microphone isn't close to you or if it's not high quality, it might sound like it might pick up a lot of room tone. Just by enabling enhanced speech, I recommend friends trying this out. It's going to use AI basically to filter out the background noise and really focus on the audio. So we're going to hit start recording.
Okay.
I'm going to put you on the spot and you're going to talk to me for about 2 or 3 sentences about what self-awareness is, okay?
Sure. Self-awareness is understanding who you are, how other people take you in, how you take other people in, and then having the ability to regulate yourself in the service of the things that you want.
Finish recording. Are you some kind of pro or something? Because that was almost directly, perfectly on time.
Good.
Well done.
Thank you.
And so because we had enhanced speech enabled, since our friends that are watching this live, like you heard him do the voiceover, I don't know, we need to play it back, but I want you to just see how this exists on a timeline. If you're media savvy or you're an editor, this looks normal to you. But someone who's just learning content creation, this is probably a new way to look at a piece of content, right, Alan? So check this out. Here, we've got your video layer, and we've got your music track, and we've got your audio track, okay? So I'm not gonna actually play it back. I've got my computer muted, but your audio track is built into that now. And so in 5 minutes, we took text, animated it, added in some stock video.
Amazing.
So we're not having to wait for you to go and film with a videographer to shoot something. By having your voice built into this, it still has that human personalized touch. So the whole point of this is to not keep putting off content creation. This is a perfectly viable post for a platform like LinkedIn. This could be a video, Alan, that you send to your team. It could be a training video, something like this. Again, all done in Express in just a few minutes. Video, animation, access to stock photo and video, recording your voice, and even adding in audio is all possible in Express. Let's take it a step further. So I'm going to go back to Pages here.
So here's a quick question about this. So is this hosted on Adobe Express, or is it something that you need to kind of host this on another platform?
Very good question. So Adobe Express, unlike other popular tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, which are software on your computer, Express is browser-based and cloud-based. So all of it is hosted here under your Adobe Creative Cloud account, but all of it is stored within your Express account.
So another question. So within my Express account, how much storage do I have? And the second part to that question is there a way to buy more storage so that it becomes really convenient?
So I have more projects literally from years than I could ever count, and I have never run out of storage. With a premium account, you're using Adobe Express Premium. I can't remember the exact number, but it's a lot.
Okay.
It's a lot. You will not use it up, basically.
Okay, just checking.
Yes, no, it's a great question. I think it's... I think on a free account it's somewhat limited. There's specifics on this if you check out and compare Adobe Express Free Plan or Premium. But that's the beauty of this, is because it's browser based, your media is all built into here. So we can access it from this screen. You don't have to go to Adobe Stock separately, download images, download video. It's kind of something that you just don't have to worry about. So there's one more feature that I want to show you that is a type of content that's become more popular recently. You guys, with Lucas, talked a little bit about video for LinkedIn. I was so proud watching you guys. So let's say, Alan, that and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to... No, we might record on my computer since we're sharing my screen. But what I want to show you is... let me go into Edit Timeline. I'm going to borrow this text layer. Let's record a vertical. Let's record a vertical video. And let me find the one that I just made. What I want to do is I want to show you one of the newer features in Express called self-record. And this is so cool. So cool. Because a lot of times we think, like, you might say to me, well, Phil, I want to post some videos on LinkedIn. Let's get together. Let's film. Let's hire a videographer. Let's make sure we have fancy microphones and all this. Well, That's fine for might be a project or a course or a program, but that's not required nowadays for every single piece of content you need to create. Don't overthink or overemphasize high quality. I would say it's always beneficial to have a good microphone. Always a good idea to have a good microphone, because if people can't hear you well, they won't pay attention. People inherently care less about video quality. So if I can hear you well, that's more important than seeing you well, generally. But there's a new feature in Express. I'm going to have you, what's another topic that we haven't covered yet? We've talked about leadership. Give me a sentence or two, a soundbite on maybe something you've been thinking about this week while you've been in San Francisco working with your clients. Is there kind of like a theme that you've been marinating on or observing with your clients?
Yeah, I refer to it as controlled vulnerability. Not vulnerability, but controlled vulnerability, meaning that in a professional setting, you really shouldn't be exposing your underbelly, if you will, but it's important to create an opening for a relationship to be built so that when conflict arises, which it often does in a work setting, you at least are able to view the other person as a human being, and that other person is able to view you as a human being. That doesn't occur unless there's some, as I say, controlled vulnerability. So that's something I've been thinking a lot about. And the chair of a department that I've been working with in San Francisco really did a remarkable job at exhibiting controlled vulnerability with his team. And you could see the facial expression of the people in the room, that they were so impressed that their leader was able to share certain things. And that had really a positive impact on the quality of the work.
You must enjoy actually getting to like meet your clients in real life. It's one thing to do all of this remotely, but isn't it? Don't you feel like we now appreciate FaceTime so much more than we used to?
Well, listen, I think video, Medium, Zoom, et cetera, is great. However, to really build relationships, it's really important that you at least have an opportunity to meet people face to face at least once.
Yeah.
And that can be supplemented through video and through other mechanisms of connectivity, social media, et cetera. But if you really want to have really deep personal connectivity that's sustained over time, there's got to be that personal connectivity of meeting someone in person.
I love it. So while you were explaining this, and I'm going to have you do it again. That was your rehearsal. You didn't know, but now you know.
Thanks.
This is the size of vertical video. So it's basically, Alan, like if you were to take an iPhone and film like this, that's it would shoot on an iPhone. A newer iPhone would be 4K. It's high quality video. We don't need fancy cameras a lot of times. We just need good lighting.
Right.
So you go and stand by a window and you can shoot a video horizontal. If it's going to be vertical, so platforms like Instagram or LinkedIn video, you want to shoot this way, okay? And that's why we've sized it this way. So 1080 by 1920. And there's a brand new feature in Express that I want to show you called self-record. Friends, the cameras built into your devices, including your laptops, chances are this is good enough for a social media post. A social media post does not need to be a blockbuster film. It can be as simple as you sharing an idea. I think some of the best ideas come from the questions we get as business people or as small businesses, questions from clients, questions from customers, me prompting you and saying, Alan, what have you been thinking about this week? Don't overthink it. The first thing that comes to mind, chances are you ruminating on that in your everyday, which you do as a professional, might be normal to you, but it's super interesting to everyone else in your circle, okay?
Makes sense.
I feel like nowadays my job is prompting my clients to say, hey, asking a question that gets an answer. Like, what have you been thinking about? And it always helps to have someone else ask you that question. But what I want you to see now, we've created a very simple design using your branded font. I went into shapes and added an underline in your signature orange. We're going to try this. Record yourself. Okay, so you're going to come over here. I'm actually just going to turn the computer. You can see basically right there. Perfect. Obviously, we're in a studio, so we're revealing the green screen. And what we're going to do here, just for this example, is have you talk about this controlled vulnerability. Okay. So I'm going to get out of the frame once we hit record. And in this feature in Express, you've got a 5 limit 5-minute limit. Obviously, you don't have to talk that long. You can talk as long as you want. You hit start record when you're ready, and just give us a few sentences on what controlled vulnerability is.
Controlled vulnerability is creating an opening for someone else to build a relationship with you without necessarily exposing your underbelly. So in our personal lives, we want holistic vulnerability. In a work setting or in an occupational environment, we want the vulnerability to be controlled, to share just enough to make sure that someone else can view you as a human being and you can view someone else as a human being, to make sure that the relational piece of that work relationship is intact, so that when conflict arises, which it often does, you're able to view another person as a human and the other person's able to view you as a human, and therefore conflict can be mitigated over the long term of the relationship and become sustainable.
Beautiful. One take wonder, as highlighted in the chat by our friend Lucas O'Keefe.
There we go.
He's a one take wonder. That was impressive. Yes, it was. Voodoo Val, my dear friend, says, I didn't know you could do this. Phil, you are once again changing my life, sweetheart. This is the joy of Adobe Express. These features keep coming at us. Boom, boom, boom.
Cool.
And it's pretty cool to discover these. It's also pretty cool how we all lean into some of these features. Lucas often used the draw feature, which I had never used until I saw him using it. In our last hour, I was showing him bulk create for scale and personalization. This is the magic of Express. There's so many amazing things built into here. Our job is to just make sure you know they exist and for you to think about, here's how I could use that for my business. So hopefully you can see from my perspective why I love having Alan as a client. Is he not magnificent? So you just did that beautifully. I'm really happy with it. If you found I want to do one more take, that was kind of like a practice run, I want to do it once more, then you can do another take. But in this case, we're going to save that recording. And what that's going to do is it's going to add that video layer that we just recorded onto our project. I find this so exciting. So what we can do, we can just decide how we want it to look. I might have it full screen at the bottom. I might move you up into the center and adjust some of the layout. What I promise I'm not gonna do is overthink it. If this is gonna go on Instagram, I wouldn't wanna put it too low, because Alan, right down in this area, we have like comments and things like that, like some of the user interfaces built in, which reminds me, by the way, we have an add-on in Express that actually helps us visualize that.
So here's a question for you. I'm pretty sure I know the answer. We can actually go in and remove that green screen so we can really change the background to anything that we want. Correct?
Yes, we can. Actually, let's try that in a second. That's a really good idea. This add-on in Express I use almost every day. In addition to the one I showed you earlier, contrast checker. This one is called Social Previewer. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to visualize your design, how it's going to look on the platform that you're posting it. So notice, Alan, right over your shoulder, you see here the heart and the comments and the shares. That's just mocking it up to show you where that's going to go. We want to just be aware that after we post this, say, on a platform like Instagram, we want to make sure that everything's visible. So it's best to keep your content towards the middle of the canvas. I would probably reorganize this a little bit, but it's pretty close.
So is there another social media platform reviewer as well? And so whatever the platform is, it would actually give you the preview of that platform?
No, you don't. That's the thing. That's why this add-on is so great. You would think they would have that, but a lot of them don't have that. You basically see how it looks after it gets posted.
I got you.
And you're limited on what you can adjust after it gets posted. So you kind of want to think about it. And you get better at this the more you post on a platform, you know kind of what to anticipate. But I love the fact that we have this, because that is not built in to most social media platforms. So you had this fun little challenge, and I want to try it. You are on a green screen, so this might work, although I didn't do a great job of shooting you because we've got the light over your shoulder. But let's have fun with it and see what happens. When we select this video, okay, so if I was to click play, we see it all together in unison. not only you answering the question and talking, obviously this would probably be your home office or your Zoom setup, right? But I love that it's all now baked into one single video. Well, let's try to actually take this video now and single click remove background. I think the green screen will help us. That light may stay visible. Let's see what happens, friends. We're not going to know until we try to break things, right? Let's see what happens. Remove background works for photos, and incredible in Express that it works for video. Wow. That's like a really powerful, yeah, because it's hard without doing a ton of like workflow to remove, like to have transparency on a video is actually a lot of work.
That's amazing.
Express makes it really, really possible. So that way you can start to imagine like a layered file. If we wanted, almost like how we do it with Adobe Live, we're up against the green screen, they key it out. Let's see if it works. We're gonna give it a second here. Let's continue to let this work. And I want to show you something else. We're going to kind of switch gears. What I often do when I'm here in studio, in addition to bringing my real life clients into studio, I try to also show you ways in which Express works with different Creative Cloud apps. Now, this is not a Creative Cloud app, but it's something that I use all the time in conjunction with Adobe Express. This is Adobe Acrobat. Now I'm mentioning it because I have a feeling you probably use Acrobat on a daily basis, right? That's absolutely. Like a business tool. Yeah. Have you ever clicked this rainbow button up in the top right corner?
Never.
Well, you're gonna click it today. AI Assistant. So this is also powered by Firefly. This is an amazing way to have a conversation with your document, okay? Tell us what we're looking at. You had sent this to me several months ago.
Yeah.
Tell us what we're looking at on screen.
So this is copywritten by Harvard Business School, but many years ago I had gone through some executive education at Harvard Business School called Launching New Ventures. And after going through that program, the person who runs the program, a professor at Harvard Business School, had kind of asked to write a teaching case about my journey and our journey. And so they wrote a teaching case called Residency Select or J3 Personicka, which was really a pivot point for our business early on. And so this was taught as a part of the Launching New Ventures program at Harvard Business School after it was written. I believe it was 2016. Yeah, 2016, 2017. Certainly.
No big deal. Just a Harvard Business School. Yep. Just simple. So look, what we're going to do here, we're going to rethink about the ways in which we interact with and repurpose existing content. This we're going to go into more detail when I talk with Lucas to round off the streams today. But I want you to see this because you had mentioned this is copywritten.
Yeah.
Anything that you open in Adobe Acrobat and use AI Assistant does not train the model. So let's say this is confidential information. Totally fine to interact with AI Assistant, unlike a tool like ChatGPT. So for example, I give the example of my book. Oh, what a convenient prop like I have right here. I wrote this, but I don't own it. The publisher owns it, so I cannot upload the PDF of this book to ChatGPT. I don't have permission. What I can do is I can open it in AI Assistant, okay? I can also open this doc that you had sent me safely and securely, and I can interact with this. I can have a conversation with this document, okay? So not only can I use generative summary to help understand what's in here, we're slightly off course here because we're going to go back to Express in a second, but I think it's important because we're talking about business for you to know how all of these interact. So in a second, Alan, I asked, what is Alan Friedman passionate about? It gives me an answer, but it not only gives me an answer, but it gives me specific citations to where it's finding the answer it's giving me. So, Alan Friedman is passionate about improving interactions between patients and physicians in medical settings. So, this is something, it's funny, because as soon as I opened this document, it said, oh, that's old. And I said, it's okay. It's fine that it's old. So now I'm going to say, let's write a 6 to 8 sentence
Wow.
Instagram, let's say caption for a LinkedIn post, okay? LinkedIn, let's sort of 6 to 8 sentence text only post for LinkedIn. I'm changing what I'm doing halfway through here for LinkedIn. Now what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna go into Adobe Express and find an image to pair with this, okay? Leveraging the overarching theme of this document, okay? I don't care that it's old because it's still important. It's still relevant to you. And what it just did was saved us hours and hours. Okay, so there we go. That's what it gave us. I'm gonna click copy. I should mention, this is a paid feature in Document Cloud, but it's roughly the price of a Starbucks per month. And so I use AI Assistant in Acrobat in addition to everything that I'm doing in Express and other Creative Cloud tools. We're back over in Express. I copied over that text. We're gonna work with it in a second. Have a look at that. We removed that background.
Wow.
And that green screen worked absolutely perfectly. Obviously, friends, like I would probably work with Alan to like get his setup, you know, a little more dialed in, you know, lighting and all of that so that you could just flip it on at home. You don't need to be a tech expert. But for the purpose of today, look how amazing that worked to remove that green screen background. By the way, that wasn't even my idea. That was your idea. That was a good idea.
I'm amazed at my own astonishment.
It's incredible. So we looked at voiceover. If you, let's say you're working on a Saturday morning, you don't feel like being on camera, add your voice over stock. Let's say you're dressed up for the day for meetings. What I would say to you is, Alan, take advantage of that and hop on camera and quickly record some videos to put on LinkedIn or whatever your social media platform of choice is. What we just created was a text post from Adobe Acrobat. I know we're kind of jumping around, but again, I'm showing you in a business context how you might use these tools together in a safe and secure way. I am a big AI lover, but I am concerned about security and privacy and compliance. And as quick and easy it is to input something into ChatGPT, remember that unless you are on a Teams plan, which is minimum 2 seats at $30 a month, so that's $60 a month, that's a lot of money for a lot of people. Unless you're paying that, the model is being trained on what you provide. I pay $60 a month for ChatGPT because the information contained is confidential. When I'm having a call with you, I can't just upload that transcript and say, hey, ChatGPT, train the model on everything Alan told me in confidence. Right. That's a big problem. So I prefer to use safe tools, often powered by Adobe Firefly in the Adobe ecosystem. So I showed you AI Assistant and how we just created a 6 to 8 sentence text post. Let's actually add a page next. I'm gonna go custom size. Let's flip this 1920 by 1080. Alan, let's hop over to media. Let's go back to our text post and just remember what this was. Navigating the complexities of healthcare inspired me to take action. So I'm gonna say remove the hashtags, add a call to action for people to read the full article by Harvard Business School, or on Harvard Business School? What would you say? I think it's hosted. Yeah, we'll go with that. So a lot of times you don't have to take the first result you get from AI. You can say, okay, that's a good starting point, but now rework it a little bit, okay? So I'm gonna take this. Actually, sorry, I'm gonna copy it using, I'm gonna copy it using the copy feature, and then I'm gonna go back over to Express. I have a lot of tabs open. Let's, for this, I showed you how you can pull an image from stock.
Right.
So, but I think for this, it's about you. So what I might do instead is go over to your brand. where not only we have your logos and colors and fonts set up, but we also have your brand photos. So when we talk about photography, brand photography, I often call that kind of like A-level photography. AI is not going to replace brand photography. If anything, it's more important now than ever to get with a photographer and get those photos that you can use for your profile photo, for your website, for your social media that you can sprinkle in. It doesn't need to be every single photo you post. You can lean on stock and some of those AI generated images. But I think brand photography is hugely important. And so you trusted me when I told you years ago. I said, Alan, I know you don't want to get your photo taken, but I need you to because we're gonna need this. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just going to, there's a shower. It looks like there's a shower head in behind your head that I had not noticed before.
Oh, there is, yeah.
And so what I would like to do, let's see, that might remove the whole background, but what I would actually like to do is remove that. So stand by, I might have to undo what I just clicked. I'm gonna show you in Express how you can add and remove objects. That's not what I want. Let's see here. Okay, so let's just work with this for a second. I'll show you this in a moment. I want to take an image like this. This is going to fit the vibe of what we're posting. The post that we're about to do on LinkedIn, let me just set this as the background again. Reframe image. Okay, I'm just going to stretch it. This is a perfect example. You'll see in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and click share. And I'm going to go to share to social. And I'm just going to do this directly from Express. I don't have to go over to LinkedIn and do it separately. Let's find you. Let's find your LinkedIn page. And I'm going to paste what was written in Adobe Acrobat using AI Assistant, which digested that 10+ page document report and extracted true information with citations that we can leverage, okay? Now, I wouldn't probably wanna put this in this big chunk. I'd wanna actually probably break this out into paragraphs, like this. Something like this. Right. On LinkedIn, you wanna make it easy for people to read. I also think you might find that this might be too long, so you could go ahead and make these adjustments. But Alan, I can pretty much guarantee you that this post is going to perform better because we included an image. And in this case, since the post is about you, including an image of you makes a lot of sense.
And so with this, we can schedule it, so we don't have to publish it right now, but we can schedule it. If I do this and I'm like, I just want to tweak it a little more later, I can come back in to do that.
So for right now, I'm just going to pretend that that's the link to the article. There is this article that you published is on the Harvard Business Review, I think, or it's on
Business School website,
Harvard Business School website. So we would put that link in there, but let's say we don't have that link now. I'm going to put a placeholder.
Right.
What we can do is we can publish now, which I won't do because I will literally publish it on your LinkedIn. But instead, I'm going to go set as draft. Okay. And then we can bring that over into Scheduler and make those last adjustments.
And that's the staging area from earlier.
That's the staging area. You've got the hang of this. This is an area where, for example, if you've got someone on your team supporting you with social media content, you could leave them, or they could leave them in drafts. You hop in there, make your tweaks, and then it gets scheduled. That might be a way that you build in reviews. Another thing, friends, that I want to show you, which you're going to see depending on the type of content you're scheduling in Express, but this is very exciting. Again, it's a feature that doesn't seem exciting. This is hugely important for business and for accessibility in general. The ability to add alt text to your images. You can see it right there, brand new. You can add it right here. So this is an image of Alan walking outdoors. exterior shot of his house. I know that was like a. Yeah, I would also love for that to be my house.
Yeah.
We rented an Airbnb actually to do this photo shoot. That was such a cool house.
Yeah.
So why do we use alt text? We use it so that for accessibility purposes, so that everyone can access our content, including people with visual impairments, etc. It also matters for search engine optimization. So people will often ask, Lucas and I get this question all the time, like, hey guys, do hashtags still matter? Hashtags mattered a lot years ago when it was our responsibility to categorize the content we were creating. So we would hashtag it business, productivity, hashtag Harvard, like whatever we wanted, hashtag leadership. Now with algorithms, content, AI, these posts know what your post is without you having to declare it. So hashtags matter less. Search engine matters more. Search engine optimization, I should say, SEO. So I always recommend, and now built into Express, we have the ability to add alt text. Take a few extra seconds to describe what the image is that you're posting and creating. That will help the search engine not only serve it up so that everyone can read it and see it and access it, but also feed into search what the heck it is that you're posting. And that will generally help you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think this post is kind of long. I always try to generate a little more than I need, and then I spend my minutes editing down. So we can click generate, and I'm going to shorten this. And this is us using generative AI built into Express. Oh yeah, it said I cannot help with this one because I put a fake link. So I should probably remove that. Let me try one more time. I'm gonna let's try it one more time. Shorten. Let's see what it comes up with. Friends, I hope you're seeing that we're using all kinds of tools built into Express. So you may have glanced over, you may have seen, but not actively used. Here we go. Okay. Robert says, what was it with Acrobat? I have it with my Creative Cloud. That was AI Assistant built into Adobe Acrobat. It's really, really amazing to interact with your documents, have a conversation with them in a safe and secure way. Zero risk of hallucination because what you're providing is the input. It's super cool. Okay, I like that. So we can click Insert, and then I might add some of that formatting. And make those kind of adjustments, and then we would put the link here. We've already put to set this as a draft. I'm gonna go ahead and click Add Draft. And then we can view it in the calendar.
In the staging area, right?
In the staging area, exactly. Any questions about that? That includes you, Alan. That includes our friends in the chat.
I don't have any questions. I just think it's just amazing the capability that for someone who really has not had a lot of experience interacting.
Yeah.
One with social media outside of LinkedIn, but also just with Adobe Express, just how much I'm just looking at kind of the dashboard that's on my laptop in front of me, and there's now that we've gone through all this, there's so many other questions that I have just about what's here. So it sparked a lot of curiosity for me to want to dig in kind of on my own time and kind of start playing around and creating different things based upon what I've learned from you and from Lucas.
That makes me so happy because, I mean, it sounds like you feel like you have what you need at least to be curious, even if you don't. To be dangerous, exactly. You might not necessarily have the answer, but there are things that you're going to learn by doing, and that is so important. So there you can see our drafts. Those are not going to post live because it's marked with that little purple sign draft, but I can literally just drag and drop and click them into the day where I want to have that drafted. So let's say, for example, you're working with your team or you're working with a social media manager. You can, or they can, click and drag this into the date. And then if I wanted, I could drag it over to like the unpublished area, basically, which I had showed earlier, right here. And you can have it there and not assigned to a day. So you've got like different ways of customizing that.
But as I'm thinking about this, in other words, and you and I have done this in the past, and now I kind of know what your secret sauce was, kind of in what you did behind the scenes. But we could spend a few hours or even a day really generating, recording all of the content, and then schedule it out strategically over months, probably not years, but days and months for sure,
yeah,
and weeks. To really kind of, is there a certain message based upon a certain meeting that is happening in the healthcare industry that I might want to have this hit on a certain day?
Yes.
So we can really use this as a strategic tool to the earlier question about content. I'm thinking about using this as a strategic tool really to drive more influence in terms of like not only J through P's mission and mandate, but my personal mission and mandate, which is really to help more people than I'm currently able to help just by doing it one-on-one or, in a team-based environment in person.
So that's you kind of revisiting your goal, which I think is super important. That's something we should all be doing. We know content creation is important. We know this is key. I often describe it as this. You show up in real life. We listen to what you say, content. We listen to how you say it. We remember how you say it, personality.
Yeah.
Your social media content, including a selfie, isn't a moment of ego or self-obsession. It is simply a soldier that you send out into the digital world that simulates the in-person experience. So when you see a photo of me, Alan, on LinkedIn, up to this point, you've kind of been a passive consumer on LinkedIn. You're not someone that actively posts unless it's a big, huge announcement. Yeah. But you see a photo of me, and then you see a thoughtful, text-driven post that gets you thinking about something. Yeah. You don't see that post and go, oh, wow, Phil's posting selfies. He's self-obsessed. You're experiencing me in a simulated way as if you and I were sitting down having coffee.
Yeah.
So I try to reroute it for clients. Like people think, oh, I don't want my selfies out there, or I don't want to constantly be posting pictures of myself. It's 2025. People don't look at those photos and go, wow, you love yourself. This is driven by ego. We are sending out little digital soldiers that represent our thought, what we're thinking about, something that's thought-provoking. It could be a question. Lucas gave some great kind of infrastructure earlier on how you might create in content buckets. Like, that's all this is. And what's exciting is it's scalable.
Yeah.
So your time is not scalable. I know because I see you every day. You've got clients that are calling you. And that's draining.
Yeah.
When we send out a social media post that we create in Adobe Express, here we've got a presentation template. We might decide, actually, I want this to become the starting of a LinkedIn or an Instagram. So you decide you want to start posting on Instagram. We can literally single click and resize it. The little rainbow area is Generative Expand, which is going to use AI to basically fill in the blanks beyond the borders of the photo. Isn't that so cool?
It's really interesting as I'm listening to you and as I'm watching the capabilities here. You referenced something earlier about selfies and it kind of posting, and the point you bring up is a really important one that I often speak to our clients about, which is, it might not be natural for me to take a selfie or for me to seem like I'm promoting myself. However, to change that narrative, which I think you did a really nice job of, which is, in order to help more people, here is what is required to do that. So then it becomes, instead of me taking a selfie and kind of self-promoting, or maybe that's how I feel about it, if I'm linking, well, in order to do the things that are important to me, this is a requirement to do that. Frankly, that's practicing what I'm preaching in terms of the work that I and we do, which is, in order to be effective as a leader or just effective in leading your own life, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable in the service of getting the things that you want and, making sure that your needs are met and your values are met, et cetera. So I think that's a really great point that you brought up for people who might not be as apt to want to take a selfie or, quote unquote, feel like they're self-promoting. And I think this tool actually allows you to do it in a way that, for me at least, represents my values in a way that's quick and efficient. So that's kind of what I took from what you just shared.
100%. Thank you for listening. Really, that's the rewiring that I think I'm doing a lot of times with clients. It's not ego-driven. It's actually driven by a desire to help or whatever the goal of the client is. I think in most cases, that's what it is. It's a desire to help. What happens as a result of that? By showing up on platforms like LinkedIn, like Instagram, like Facebook, like TikTok, like Pinterest. I mean, there's a whole variety of these platforms. By you being active and you participating in conversation, not using these as a tool for broadcast, but really as a tool for conversation, you indirectly are staying top of mind with your audience among those passive people, which you've been up to today. So Voodoo Val says, that explanation really got me thinking differently. Thank you, Voodoo Val. She says, I'm not a big selfie taker and have a hard time showing my face on social media. Val, so many people are in that same boat. To be honest, even though it might shock everyone, I don't love talking to the camera on an Instagram story unless it's in the context like this, about to go live on Adobe. Like, I'm okay doing it in that context, but if I'm just like walking down the street and then whipping out my phone and being like, hey everyone, like, I think that's kind of weird, but I try to push past it because it's not weird for other people, especially if what I have to say is useful, humorous, relatable, educational, valuable for my audience. When in doubt, right, friends, bring us into the fold, bring us into your world. It doesn't have to be a blockbuster film. It doesn't have to be a well thought out, thought. It could be a single sentence that you throw up on social media. It could be a question that you ask to get people thinking. I know, Robert, so many people are in this boat, right? Of not wanting to post your face. But I guess I'm strongly encouraging you to challenge yourself with not only Adobe Express, but specifically some of these really exciting new features like recording a voiceover. And the new feature is a self-record now in video format. I'm so excited by how that turned out, by the way. Let's actually I know we have a few minutes left. I wanted to show you, Alan, by the way, this is your PowerPoint that we imported earlier, designed for PowerPoint. But let's say you want to add animation to this. You can click on an element and add that. Or if you want to save some time, we can click animation from the tab up here and single click and apply it to all text and objects. So applying animation to an entire presentation deck in one click. Let me prove it by clicking up here and going into presentation. And then obviously this is your template. Okay. So when we're designing a template for a client, we're giving you all kinds of different options here. And now knowing, at least in PowerPoint, it would be like, okay, I can create more PowerPoints in this. Now you know from spending time with us today that this can be the start of a presentation. It can be the start of a LinkedIn video. It could be the start of a brochure that you plan to get printed. It could be a graphic for your blog or for your website. The possibilities are endless, particularly as you spend more time in Express creating all of these assets ready and available for not only you, but also for your team. We've covered a lot of ground today. I want to thank our friends in the chat. Don't go anywhere because we're not done yet. But we have covered so much ground. I love, Alan, that you can look at this dashboard in Adobe Express and now know what all of this stuff is, or at least a starting point. Start from your own content, generate with AI. You learned about quick actions, which I often describe as the gateway into Adobe Express. Are you, to kind of round off our time today, are you feeling good? Are you feeling prepared? What's your action item?
I think my action item specifically is the video project that I think we're calling the Clarity Project. We have about 18 of those videos. Based on kind of the clip maker, I can then probably create, probably 52, 54 of those video clips, give or take, from what we've done. So that kind of is my takeaway. And then there's just so much creativity that can come from that, incorporating those not only on social media, but incorporating those in terms of my presentations, and even, frankly, using this tool just in a way to communicate with my team as well as with our clients even if just sending a video created through here, I think is much more personal than even just sending out like an email. So there's so many different possibilities that I'm thinking about how to apply it.
You have been an amazing student today.
Oh, thank you.
Chat, can you get with me and give Alan a virtual round of applause? You've been such a good student today. You've absorbed this. You really, I'm truly so excited about where you're going to take this. Thank you for being an amazing guest today. We have one more show coming up. It's going to be Lucas and I doing our normal social media makeover. Normally we do it remotely, but we're doing it together in person, which is very, very fun. But a huge thank you to you, Alan, for joining us at Adobe Live and for all of our chat for being so interactive. We appreciate you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out with us. Don't go anywhere. One more show left. Note that it is going to be on a separate stream, so we will see you over there in a moment.